Sweet.
And
Mm.
action.
Are you recording?
Yes.
Nope.
Oh yeah, I see it now. Okay,
Welcome
cool.
to Quarantine Theater. Please take this time to check your nearest exit. Keep in mind, it may be behind you,
Please turn off all cell phones and recording devices.
or I'll fucking kill you. Welcome to the show.
Isn't this a children's movie?
Alrighty, so the cast
Not
that we
today.
have, I will be reading for Dick Tracy. We have Soren Odom as Big Boy Caprice. We have Chelsea as Breathless Mahoney and the Blank. Karina as Tess Trueheart. George as the Kid, Pat Patton, the Brow, and Littleface. Dan as Lips Manless, D.A. Fletcher, and Mumbles. Right. Jared as Mike from the Diner, Sam Catchman, and Jay Harper. Kate is Itchy, Numbers, Spaldoni, Influence, Texie Garcia, I believe, and Tessa's mother. And Jennifer is Flat Top, it's a great character, 88 Keys, Prune Face, Rodent, and Miss Green. And Travis will be our narrator, and he will also read for Brandon, Chief Brandon. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, here we go, and you can take us away.
Dick Tracy. Yep. Exterior alley, sunset, a deserted industrial district. A kid comes down the street. He rummages through a trash can. He hears voices and looks up to see two cops rounding the corner. The kid slips back, finds an indentation in the wall, and backs into it as the two cops, McGillicuddy, yeah, and Ives, come closer. McGillicuddy takes a biscuit from his pocket as a stray dog approaches. They seem, in fact, unaware of the kid. Unaware of the kid.
There you go, fella.
The instant before they walk away, the wall behind the kid gives way silently, and he finds himself inside. Interior 7th Street garage. 5 men play stud poker in a quiet service garage. Their grotesque physiognomies, yes, reflect their names: Littleface, the Bro, Shoulders, Stooge, and the Rodent who is dealing.
Pair of eights, possible straight, possible nothing. Queen's bet. Hey, little face.
Littleface can't make up his mind. The kid moves slightly to adjust his view, but turns over an oil can. The game stops. The players immediately draw their guns.
What was that?
A cat steps into the light. As Littleface bets, the cat approaches, and in a nasty display of temper, the rodent grabs it and flings it across the garage. The Brow turns to the rodent next to him.
I told you to quit breathing that clam sauce on me.
Shut up and deal.
The rodent deals.
Uh-oh, aces and eights.
Continued. Boom! A black sedan blasts through the door, and Flaptop, a professional assassin, leans out the car window, firing with a machine gun. Jack, Easley, Rosie, and Mubbles remain inside the car. The card players scatter in 5 different directions, but they don't get very far. Bullets fly through the garage, shattering glass, splintering furniture, breaking chunks of plaster of the walls. A telephone explodes. Legs are sawed off a card table. A toolbox is torn into pieces. The garage is blasted to smithereens, and are the 5 card players. There is silence. The kid backs up. The cover of a trash can clatters to the floor. Flaptop turns. He sees the kid. The kid bolts towards the door and out as Flaptop fires at him and misses. Itchy and Mumbles leap out of the car and remove all identification from the dead man. Omitted 7th Street sunset. The kid runs. Interior 7th Street garage. Itchy and Mumbles go back into the car with the wall as Flaptop mechanically fires that led into the already dead card players, and finally turns the wall and crazily fires at it, carving out the letters Dick Tracy. The black sedan swings into a lazy turn. Its black door opens, the flap top hops inside, and the vehicle drives out. An eerie quiet settling through the place as it disappears. Interior opera house, a flat soprano wearing steel breastplates and nose horn helmet split a high C and almost shakes the paint off the walls. The audience is in the cream of the city's high society. Among them, the radiant Tess Trueheart and a very uncomfortable police detective, Dick Tracy. The audience suddenly hears the voice of Pat Paddington calling Dick Tracy, calling Dick Tracy. A bit embarrassed, Tracy bends down toward the floor and whispers into his watch, which is in fact a wrist radio.
This is Tracy, Pat.
We've got 5 dead men at the 7th Street garage, and nobody knows who they are. You better get over here right away.
I'm on my way.
Straightening up, Tracy finds that half the audience is riveted on the wrist radio drama and is ignoring the opera.
I'll be back. I want to know how it comes out.
He hurries up the aisle toward the exit. Tess watches him go and then returns the stare of the woman beside her. Interior 7th Street garage night. Tracy stands staring at his name in the wall with Chief Jim Brandon, tough and Irish, and Pat Paddington, a straightened lace by the book cop.
Big boy.
5 dead men, Tracy, and we don't even know who they are. Tracy turns toward the dead bodies, which are covered with sheets.
Big boy.
You sure, Tracy?
Tracy uncovers the face of a body.
Well. Littleface. Hasn't this town seen you in years?
Who?
See these marks? I want to make tires and depths on the tread. They're factory lines.
He has uncovered another face.
The rodent. Long time no see. There's a factory tires. I want the year, the make, and the model of the car they were on. Tom?
The rodent? Tracy has uncovered 2 more faces.
Shoulders and the brow. They're from the coast. Tom, get these primers run through. Ballistics fast. They look like 45 ACP for a Thompson. Dust for prints first. We might just get lucky.
Shoulders?
The brow? Now Tracy's uncovered the last one.
Stooge villagers. That's no surprise.
He turns and walks in deeper into the room. Pat and the chief follow.
Carter, I want a picture of this place from top to bottom. And don't get artistic.
He turns and stares for a moment at the writing of his name on the wall. Who are these men, Tracy? What did they know?
They all knew one thing.
What, Tracy?
What, Tracy?
Lips manless.
Pat and the chief stand nonplussed at Tracy's capacity to put all this together. You mean they were working for him?
I'm not sure, Chief. But if we don't get Big Boy off the streets, he'll be writing our names in the back of our shirts.
Interior opera house night. The baritone bleats with melancholy. Tess is not unmoved. Tracy moves in beside her again.
Everything all right, Tracy?
Fine. Just a little trouble downtown.
Exterior under opera house marquee night. A cluster of reporters coverage on Dick, Tracy, and Tess as they emerge. A couple of flashbulbs pop and the reporters fire questions as they walk, moving slowly through the jam of people.
Confidentially, Tracy, people are saying the city's out of control.
Is that right?
Yeah, still can't get anything on Big Boy, huh?
I'll get him.
What about the rumor you're being moved up to chief of police?
We already have an excellent chief of police, Bert. Why don't you shave off that silly mustache?
Well, how about running for mayor, Tracy?
I'm a cop, Charlie. I wouldn't want a demotion.
Tracy leads Tess through the crowd toward the street. One of the reporters pops another flashbulb.
McMalley, if that shot's any good, I want a copy.
Exterior street near diner night. Tess and Tracy walk together.
But Chief Brandon thinks you'd be a wonderful chief of police.
I'm not saying I couldn't use the extra $40 a month, but I'm not letting him kick me upstairs.
It's not being kicked upstairs. Don't you see? If you weren't out in the street every night risking your neck, you could have a wife. I mean a life. Look, let's talk about something else.
You think I got something against a desk job, sweetheart? I don't.
Are we going for the drive in the country tomorrow?
I gotta finish the job I have. Big boy, for $40 a week, I'll have to wait.
As he opens the door to the diner for Tess, she stops.
Tracy,
He turns back to her.
Huh? Oh, sure. We'll go for a drive tomorrow.
Suddenly, he's clobbered in the stomach by a small figure fleeing the diner. The figure regains his balance and takes off down the street as Tracy turns back to the doorway and is hit by a larger figure, an elderly man with a bib.
He took my watch. Hey, he took my watch.
Tracy takes off in pursuit to the small figure interior diner night. Tess enters.
hi Mike.
She crosses to a booth and sits.
The rest of our party should be arriving any minute.
Exterior night, Tracy chases kid first location. Exterior railroad yard night, Tracy chases kid into railroad area. The kid runs in front of the train. Tracy is amazed when the caboose passes. The kid has disappeared. Interior shack night, a dingy room with soap boxes and crates for furniture lit by a single kerosene lamp. Steve the tramp is an ignorant brute, muscular and scared. He's scared. He stumbles face in a greasy is greasy from the last of the fried chicken he eats.
What'd you get?
You didn't save me no chicken.
What did you get?
I got hungry is what I got.
Let me see the stuff.
The kid discards the bone and puts the watch on the soapbox in front of Steve. In front of Steve.
That's all.
As the kid nods, Steve knocks him into a rough tumble across the floor. The kid hits a crate. Suddenly, a shadow appears in the doorway.
Hey, tough guy, why don't you pick on someone your own size?
Nope. Oh.
Steve is startled and grabs a board with a large spike in the end of it. Tracy takes a step towards Steve, who brandishes the board and then swings it viciously at Tracy. Tracy leaps away. Steve takes another vicious swing. Tracy ducks and then hits him with a hard left, knocking him against the wall of the shack. When Steve misses Tracy with another swipe, Steve swipes past Tracy once again with the board, and Tracy now shoves him into the opposite wall. Tracy picks him up and socks him back into the first wall. Exterior shack night. From outside, we see one wall and almost collapsed out, and after the wall opposite it almost collapsed out. Aha. After this, several times, Steve is knocked through one of the walls. Tracy comes after him, followed by the kid, and the shack collapses. Boom. The kid is wide-eyed as Tracy puts the cuffs on the fallen man, and he turns back to him.
What are you going to do to me?
This guy your old man?
Him? Go soak your head.
Let's have the watch. Let's go. We gotta wait for you.
Who the hell are you, mister?
I'm a cop.
Interior club, Ritz night, a private club. On the bandstand, we see a torch singer sitting on the piano. She is Breathless Mahoney, a dazzling and blue spotlight as she sings. Breathless is an accomplished gold digger, a bored survivor, a soft and beautiful cobra. But at all times, she is a woman under control. She sings, I always get my man. Well, if you're a gold digger, you would. The accomplished is a piano player named 88 Keys. As a bodyguard moves through the private club, we see that it is also a gambling casino. Lip Manlis sits at a table and sips expensive champagne as he watches Breathless. He is dapper, mustache and all, a dandy in white tuxedo with a rose in the label. Two more bodyguards lurk in the shadows nearby. Breathless finishes the song as the first bodyguard, a small man with nervous eyes, approaches Lips and leans down to speak quietly in his ear.
Bad news on the garage, Lips. They bumped them all off. Our boys are getting very nervous.
Lips frowns at the bodyguard, who reluctantly withdraws as Breathless joins Lips at his table. Lips is served with a plate of 24 oysters on the half shell, good choice, which he digs into at a high speed.
That was wonderful. As always. It's just,
I'm happy you like it.
yeah, well.
Lips is amused. He tips her a champagne toast and drinks. He makes her sick, but he owns her. Suddenly there is a flurry of confused movement and screams across the room as the employees attempt to conceal the gambling apparatus.
Raid, it's the cops.
The employees are too late. Lips bodyguards draw their guns and flank him, and Breathless as cops hurry in and customers angle for the exits. Lips motions his bodyguards away, and Breathless glances up with boredom as 3 cops approach his table.
Okay, Lips, you're under arrest. Owning and operating a gambling establishment.
Oh, yeah? Where's your warrant?
Right here, let's go.
Lips smiles contemptuously.
You too, Breathless.
Exterior club, Ritz night, the cops hustle at an unconcerned Lips with Breathless into an unmarked car. Interior, unmarked car, night. Crenolina's Tommy gun in the back seat is flap top.
Laptop. Well, these guys ain't the cops. Well,
The cops push him into the back seat.
Hello, Lips. Let's go.
Oh,
The car moves out. Exterior street night. The unmarked car streaks through the night. Exterior at intersection night. A veteran cop in a squad car sees the unmarked car with ununiformed policemen in it go by. He starts up and follows it. Exterior Southside warehouse night. The unmarked car streaks through the wide entrance of a warehouse and the door closes behind it. Interior Southside warehouse night. The unmarked car screeches to a halt in a cluttered cavern filled with large crates. Half a dozen figures, including Mumbles, Itchy, and Numbers or Influence, step into the light and surround the car. Interior diner night. Tracy, Tess, and the kid. The kid is stuffing himself, gorging, cramming food into his mouth with both hands and slurping soup. Tracy and Tess watch with patient interest. Tess leans toward him, takes a discreet whiff, and shudders. He is not the cleanest.
Huh. You got a name?
Kid.
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 What kind of name did your mother and father give you?
What mother and father?
Tess.
Tess.
Shoot. I'm sorry. What page are we on?
12.
God.
15 PDF, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Who takes care of you?
Who takes care of you?
Interior Southside warehouse night. Al, big boy, Caprice smiles down at Lips, who is on the floor in front of him. Big boy wears a wide fedora, kid gloves, and features a cheap clash of colors in his suit. He has a habit of cracking walnuts, chewing them thoroughly, and stuffing the shells into his pockets.
Ah, look what you've done to your pretty tuxedo.
Big boy helps Lips up off the floor and brushes off his labels. Yeah.
Big boy, ain't we pals?
No pals in this business, Lips. You taught me that.
He hands Lips a piece of paper and a pen.
Sign it.
Lips hesitates. Big boy cracks another walnut and snaps his fingers at the cops. Immediately, Lips signs the paper. Now, big boy nods to the cops. Exterior Southside warehouse night. The veteran cop stands outside the warehouse. He hurries back to his car and its radio. Interior Southside warehouse night. The sides of a large wooden crate have snapped up around Lips, and a cement truck suddenly rolls forward with its huge mixer churning. Lips' eyes flash with fear.
You're dirty, Lips. You need a bath.
Big Boy signals for the mixer.
No, 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 not the bath, big boy. No, not the bath. No.
They say cement is good for the complexion.
The mixer is tipped. The cement begins to splatter over Lips.
No, big boy, we're friends. We're friends, right?
And I'm gonna miss you, Lips. Right here in the bottom of my heart.
As
Big Boy.
Flaptop taps Lips' mouth shut.
Big boy.
Lips sputters into silence, noticing a splatter of cement on his shoe. Big Boy turns to Mumbles.
Mumbles.
Mumbles knees and wipes the shoe with his handkerchief.
Now,
He moves close to Breathless and sizes her up.
you. How do you want it?
Want it?
He takes the stool from her shoulders.
Around me, if a woman don't want to wear mink,
As he pauses, she's terrified by his contemptuous stare.
she don't wear nothing.
She gives him her best smile.
Well, I look good both ways.
Big Boy gives the nod, and a wooden cover is slapped over the crate containing Lips. A trap door opens and drops the crate 20 feet to the dark river below. Big Boy watches as Lips hits the surface of the river with a loud splash. Immediately, the ground begins to cover the area, including the trap door with wooden crates. Exterior, south side, warehouse, night. The veteran cop stands outside the squad car, speaks into his car radio. Behind and unseen by him, a hand holding a club appears.
Repeat, you're at the South Side warehouse?
Right. I don't know who they are, and I can't see what's going on inside. Their car has no.
The club comes down on his head, knocking him out.
Don't go in without help. We're on our way. Lefty?
Interior diner night. Tracy and Tess watch the kid polish off a huge glass of milk.
We gotta call the Welfare Society. Hey, Mike.
The what?
The boys' home. Mike, what kind of ice cream do you have?
Suddenly, the kid bolts from the table, knocking over a bowl of soup. He gets all the way to the door before Tracy grabs his collar from behind.
Wait a minute.
He walks the kid to the table.
Where you going? Sit down.
You ain't sticking me in no orphanage. I've been there.
Sorry, pal. It's the law. What's so bad about the orphanage? They feed you. They give you clothes.
Suddenly, Sam's voice calls over Tracy's wrist radio.
Calling Dick Tracy. Calling Dick Tracy.
The kid's eyes bulge with wonder at the wrist radio.
Mike, you got any ice cream? Bring the kids some ice cream. Come in, Sam.
South Side warehouse on the river. Something's going on. Better get down here.
What's going on?
To tell you the truth, Tracy, I don't know.
The kid is transfixed by the radio.
You don't know.
Can you get down here, Tracy?
I'm on my way.
Rising quickly, he drops some money onto the table.
What about the eating machine?
Huh? What? Oh. Can you watch him or something?
Tess reacts.
Watch him do what?
I don't know. Take him to my place. I'll tell Pat to call the orphanage.
Tracy hurries to the door and leaves.
You two married?
As she turns away to look in her purse, the kid starts to reach for the money that Tracy left on the table.
Gosh. No, touch that money and I'll break your arm.
The kid's hand retreats. Tess turns around now and looks at him.
I don't like games.
Good, neither do I.
The kid looks back with suspicious respect. Interior Southside warehouse night. Brandon and Detective Sam catching 3 uniformed cops and the veteran cop with a bump on his head stand at one end of the silent warehouse as Tracy at the other end of the warehouse stares at walnut shells in his hand. What do you think, Tracy? Tracy is silent as something catches his eye on the floor. He rises and moves toward it. Let's go, Tracy. Haven't we covered this? Tracy kneels and picks up a blue sapphire earring and puts it into his pocket. He walks towards the chief.
There's a puzzle here, Chief. You don't want me to walk away from the puzzle, do you?
He holds out the broken walnut shells in his handkerchief. What?
Walnuts.
Walnuts.
Sam, bring in Flat Top, Ichi, and Mumbles. Pat,
He hands Pat the walnuts.
get these for fingerprints.
He starts to walk out.
Flat Top, Itchy, and Mumbles. For what?
They've got to do with a handful of walnuts.
I want to find Lips Manless fast.
Exterior police headquarters night with sirens wailing. Wee woo, wee woo. The paddy wagon pulls out to police headquarters. Pat, Sam, and other detectives roughly escort Flat Top, Mumbles, and Itchy into the building. We recognize them as Big Boy, Top Gunman. Interior Tracy's office night. Tracy puts the earrings into a box in his desk. It is a typical detective office with the usual clutter. Among the items is test photograph. The clock on the roll reads 11 o'clock p.m. Tracy crosses to a hot plate, which is cooking chili in the can it came in. Pat and Sam push Itchy, Flap Top, and Mumbles into the room.
Gentlemen, where's Lips Manless?
Who's lips manless?
Yeah, who's Lips Manless? We get to make one phone call. That's the law.
Tracy picks up his telephone, rips it out of the wall, and tosses it to Itchy. Itchy holds the dead phone, then tosses it onto Tracy's desk. Tracy turns back to his chili.
Make a note, Pat. They waive the right for a phone call. Take them down the hall.
But Flaptop steps close and grabs the front of Tracy's shirt.
Maybe you better look before you leap, copper. We got rights.
Tracy simply dumps hot chili from the spoon onto Flaptop's hand. Flaptop recoils in pain, releasing Tracy's shirt. He takes a swing at Tracy, but misses. Tracy buckles him with a thunderous hook to the stomach. All of it has happened in an instant.
Take the bandman away, Pat.
Pat pushes Flaptop, Mumbles, and Itchy out of the room.
You can't do this, Tracy. The DL say it was badgering witnesses.
Get me Mumbles.
Tracy heads toward the interrogation area. Sam follows.
He wants to talk to Mumbles.
Pat swivels to the first detective he sees.
Bring in Mumbles.
Interior interrogation room night. The room is sparsely furnished. A few chairs and a table and a cabinet against the wall on top of which is a ceramic polar bear water pitcher. Mumbles bakes under incredibly bright white hot lights and a jacket as Tracy grills him. Mrs. Green, a stenographer, is present with Pat and pen, as are Pat and Sam.
I don't know what's wrong with this.
Mumbles, where is Lips Manless?
I don't know what's wrong with this.
Mumbles, where is Lips Manless?
Turn off the lights, Tracy. Turn off the lights. You're gonna be big way, you know? Just turn off the lights. I don't want to get them, huh?
You thirsty, Mumbles? Where is Lips Manless?
What are you doing? Oh, you can't do this, Tracy. You can't do this to me. You can't do this to me. Just turn off the lights. Turn off the lights. You can't do this to me. Turn off the lights. Turn off the lights.
Where is Lips Manless, Mumbles?
Oh, no. I can't tell you. I don't want rights.
Where is Lips Manless?
I don't do anything. You can't prove I did anything. I know more rights. I don't do anything. Turn off the lights.
Where is Lips Manless?
Exterior clubhouse Ritz night. A doorman steps up a freshly painted sign which reads, "Reopening soon." Interior club Ritz night. On stage, Breathless, dripping in diamonds, rehearses an up number. More with 88 keys, joining her occasionally from the piano behind her. A chorus line does a dance number. Big Boy directs from the center of the room.
I want all the legs up at one time, like the music hall. And I want it so confetti and balloons come down everywhere.
The dance number continues as Big Boy moves around, followed by Charlie. Numbers, Norton, a quiet, calculating accountant with eyes that seem to see and remember everything. Numbers carries a ledger sheet and continually makes notes.
Big Boy, it's 2 a.m. These girls are tired.
Yeah, we've been doing this all night.
They're gonna do it until they get it right. People come here, they're gonna know who's king of this town.
As if to emphasize his point, Big Boy suddenly slams the piano key covers down onto 88 Key's hand. 88 howls with pain as he messages his hand.
That was a silly thing to do. He's the best piano player in town.
Shut up! Next time, I'll turn his fingers into pretzels. Keep playing, piano man. And remember this, sweetie. Being my girl doesn't mean you get the right to lip off. I just might have to do the same thing to your face. Come here.
He grabs her, smiles, slaps her lightly on the face, and kisses her as 88 resumes playing.
See? Sounds better.
Interior interrogation room night.
Where is Lips Manless? Care for some water, Mumbles?
Wait. I'm gonna make my dinner. Okay, make my dinner. Give me make my dinner. Okay, make my dinner.
Okay, Ms. Green, you heard it. That's his testimony.
His what?
Put your pants on, Mumbles. Thank you very much, Miss Green. You may go now. Get him out of here.
Miss Green leaves as Pat and Sam take Mumbles out and down the hall and give him to another cop. Interior hallway night.
You can't do this to me. Oh, touch me. You can't do this. You beat me up. I can't do. I don't know touch me. You can't do this to me. You can't do this. I know my right. You can't do this to me. I know my right. You don't beat me up. I don't know touch me.
I don't know what he was talking about, but if that wasn't coercion, I don't know what is.
They open the door to the interrogation room and enter. Interior and interrogation room night.
That's coercion, Tracy. It's illegal.
We have all we want. Just tell the boys in the lab these walnuts got to be fingerprinted by 8 in the morning. I'm bringing Big Boy in tonight.
You're what?
This is the 5th time.
It's a big gamble, Tracy. If you can't make it stick.
Yeah, it's a big gamble, Tracy.
The gamble is leaving him on the streets.
Tracy exits. Interior club Ritz night. Big Boy mechanically rehearses the chorus line and tries singing with it. Suddenly, the front door opens. Tracy herds Itchy, Mumbles, and Flaptop into the room. Big Boy's eyes harden as he sees Tracy, Pat, and Sam.
Hello, Big Boy.
Tracy shoves the hoods toward Big Boy.
Here's your garbage.
Big Boy cracks a walnut with his hand and walks toward Tracy. Breathless observes the confrontation with interest. Tracy smiles ironically.
We meet again. Where's Lips?
This is a private club, copper. You got a membership card?
Do you?
I own it.
Since when?
Today, I made a deal with Lips.
He pulls out the contract.
Where is he?
He must have left town or something.
They are eyeball to eyeball for a moment. Then Tracy looks breathless over. He sees a sapphire hanging from one of her ears.
What a coincidence.
Breathless stares at Tracy, their eyes lock. Big Boy cracks down another walnut with a warning look at Breathless. Tracy turns back to Big Boy.
You like walnuts, don't you?
A lot of people like walnuts. They're good for the liver.
Yeah, but they're bad for your brain. You're sloppy, Big Boy. You're under arrest for murder.
You got evidence, Tracy?
Get him out of here.
Pat and Sam slap handcuffs on Big Boy and push him toward the door. Big Boy smiles back and over his shoulder as he exits.
Boys, call my lawyer.
Breathless smiles as Tracy leaves.
He's got a lot of guts.
Baby.
She turns and goes towards her dressing room. Tracy waits for a moment out of Breathless view and then crosses to her dressing room. Interior, breathless, dressing room night. Breathless is at her dressing room table as Dick Tracy enters. She turns toward him.
We're breaking and entering, you know.
I'm surprised you're alone in here. Shouldn't you have a boyfriend by now?
Breathless moves to the bar and pours 2 drinks.
I should, but I don't. Why do you ask?
No reason.
Tracy accepts the drink, and a nervous Breathless clinks his glass with hers. Breathless is tense.
Aren't you gonna frisk me?
If I were going to arrest you, I've done it by now.
She watches him, intrigued and curious.
Then what are you up to, honey?
I want you to say who killed Lips Mountains in court.
Breathless laughs.
You don't have to be afraid of Big Boy anymore. Or maybe you weren't on Lips' side. Whose side are you on?
Side I'm always on. Mine.
No grief for your dear friend Lips?
I'm wearing black underwear.
You know it's illegal to take you down to the station and sweat it out of you under the lights.
Breathless smiles.
Sweat a lot better in the dark.
Their eyes lock together, the wills of 2 strong people. The attraction is strong, the pull is magnetic, and they both feel it.
I know how you feel. You don't know if you want to hit me or kiss me. I get a lot of that.
After a moment,
Look, there's something to be afraid of. Big Boy's in jail. You got that one that keeps in there. Give me a call.
he leaves abruptly. Breathless watches him go with a smile. Exterior, Tracy's apartment building, sunrise. A weary Tracy enters the building. Interior, Tracy's apartment, sunrise. A singer sings on a small radio. A clean, simple 2-room apartment with second-hand furniture. As Tracy enters, he is surprised to see Tess has fallen asleep in a chair. Glancing onto the bedroom, he sees the kids sound asleep in Tracy's bed. Then he moves quietly across the room. He kneels down beside Tess and touches her hair gently. She wakes up with a start.
Oh my goodness, what time is it?
She sits up straightened.
6:30.
Gosh, I gotta be at the greenhouse. New film's coming in.
Thanks for babysitting the kid.
Pat said he'll talk to the orphanage today. Aren't these pretty?
She crosses to the door.
Tess?
She stops and turns.
Yeah?
He crosses the door.
I'd do anything for you.
I'll settle for a drive in the country. Good night, Tracy.
She embraces him. They kiss.
Good night.
She leaves. Tracy tiptoes across the room to peek at his new guests in the bedroom and then looks back at the empty living room couch where he will sleep. Dissolve 2, exterior police department, day. Tracy appears from around the corner and walks in. Interior, Tracy's office, day. A close shot of walnut shells.
You tried to ionize transfer and silver nitrate?
Twice. Big Boy Caprice's fingerprints are not on the walnuts.
Well, I had to take the gamble.
Suddenly, Sam enters, out of breath.
That's okay, Frank. Yes, Sam?
Tess is waiting.
Where?
Boys department, Marshall and Bradbury's.
Tracy's jaw drops.
Marshall and Bradbury.
She said she's not going to go for a drive in the country with a kid if he's wearing the clothes he's got on.
Exterior, City Hall, day. Accompanied by his lawyers, Big Boy with numbers and influence steps out of the City Hall and is greeted by the same swarm of reporters that confront Tracy at the opera. He smiles, waves, tips his hat to photographers as he moves towards his limousine.
Police brutality, boys. 5 times. Luckily, I don't bruise easy.
Mr. Caprice, do you intend to take legal action against the city?
This Tracy character is either a fool or crazy. The city should get rid of him.
He starts into the car.
Well, I mean, if you don't get rid of him first.
Who said that?
The reporters are silent. As Caprice gets into his car, District Attorney John Fletcher appears. He is a handsome, well-tailored man with graying temples.
Mr. District Attorney, you're a candidate for mayor for the city. Will you take disciplinary action against Detective Tracy?
Well, even though Detective Tracy has been under a good deal of strain, he's still one of our very best men.
Exterior Marshall and Bradbury's department store day. Rushing out of the store, just past a Fletcher for Mayor poster, Tracy finds the kid walking along in his underwear and t-shirt, putting on his clothes. Tracy rushes up the street and catches the kid.
Come here. What's the matter with you?
I don't need no suit.
What's wrong with the suit?
Suit's for school.
School?
Yeah, that means the orphanage. I ain't wearing no suit.
Look, your clothes don't smell very good. But if you don't want a new suit, just walk back in there and tell them, hey, I don't want a new suit. Otherwise, just pick the suit you like.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They look at each other for a moment. The kid turns and walks past Tracy, who joins him as they head back to the store. Camera pans back to a parked car where we see Flap Top and Itchy watching grimly. Flap Top eyes narrow.
I've seen that kid somewhere.
Interior Marshall and Bradbury's day. Tracy and Tess wait outside the dressing room curtain.
Tracy, that suit is $4.98.
Well, that's about right.
Sam says we have to talk to the orphanage, take him to the orphanage at 4 tomorrow.
4 o'clock tomorrow. Where's he going to sleep tonight?
Pat's voice interrupts on the wrist radio.
Calling Dick Tracy. Calling Dick Tracy.
The kid's head pops out from behind the curtain, riveted to the radio.
This is Tracy. Hurry up. Let's get your coat.
The kid goes back to dressing.
Tracy, the DA wants to see you. He's pretty hot under the collar.
Okay, Pat.
The kid emerges in an indescribable suit.
What do you think, Tracy?
You two work it out.
He leaves. Tess stares at the suit.
What are you looking at?
Interior. Oh, sorry.
Let's discuss this.
Interior District Attorney Fletcher's office day. A Fletcher for Mayor poster is on the wall behind Fletcher's head. Chief Brandon and Tracy listen.
Chief, I am a candidate for mayor. If you cannot control Detective Tracy, you'll just have to take him off duty, or I'll have you prosecute him and take you off duty.
Fletcher leaves.
I'm sorry, Chief.
Interior greenhouse. Tess completes the placement of several giant purple orchids as Tracy takes a wary sniff of a large group of gardenias. Yes, the kid polishes off the rest of a Dixie cup of ice cream and tosses it into the trash can as he follows behind Tess.
Let's go get something to eat.
Huh. People trust Brandon. He knows the department.
And you don't?
I have a job.
What's the aquarium?
Where are we at? Oh.
Fish.
Mhm.
Was that me or?
That's you, Tess.
All right. Fish. They trust you, Tracy. And frankly, I like to have you around for a few years.
Fish.
What's the point of being around a few years if I'm not doing what I want to do?
What do you mean fish?
Fish, like seafood.
Oh yeah? Steve used to swipe fish.
Does doing what you do mean you got to keep running around risking your life?
Tess, if I don't do what I do, you don't risk your life.
He fried him. Not bad.
You don't have much of a life. I'm a cop.
You want to go look at a fish?
That was the idea.
Well, I ain't looking at no fish I don't eat.
Tracy and Tess look at each other. Tracy steps on the gas. Interior police social hall day. A cops hang out, a pool table in the back. Some cops half in, half out of uniform. Pat and Sam with their collars loosened. The kid is bent over the table, slamming balls home. He points to the next with his cue.
10.
The 10 ball rocks off a cushion into a pocket.
12 side.
The 12 rockets home. The kid points to the 15, a difficult Carmon that Karum. The ball comes to rest on the lip of the pocket.
You're up, copper.
They reach for a cue, selects an expertly chalks and hands to Tess. The kid's jaw drops.
What's this?
You're too good for me.
A dame with a pool cue?
Tess turns to the table, a virtuoso performance that accelerates chalk dust flying, balls dropping. Tess permutating around the table without hesitation. Oh yeah, and I still got more. Tracy stands by with his hands folded, a trace of a smile on his face.
5.
The 5 slaps off 3 cushions and down the hole.
8. The hard way.
The kid, in shock, doesn't answer. She hits the cue ball. It hits the 8, which had come to rest in an unplayable position. The 8 now carooms off all cushions and drops in the pocket Tess indicated. Silence. Everybody still, their eyes on the open-mouthed kid. Exterior Tess' apartment building night. The car pulls up to Tess' apartment building and parks. Inside, we see Tracy and Tess with the kid asleep on Tess's lap. Tess smiles warmly at Tracy.
We only got interrupted 5 times.
Yeah,
Must be broken.
yeah.
Tracy and Tess catch themselves staring at each other at a moment.
You know, I've been thinking.
About what?
Well, you living alone.
I like living alone.
Huh?
You know that I'm not the lonely type.
Well,
What?
I guess we have that in common.
Yes, we have that in common.
Well, as long as we have so much in common,
Yes.
well, I'm getting a nest egg saved up, more than $600.
Yes.
Tess leans back in amazement and the kid wakes up.
Where are we?
Tracy opens his door and walks around and helps Tess out of the car and follows her to the door of her building. She stops and turns.
Look, maybe it's about time don't you think we might have be happier if
Embarrassed, Tracy stops talking and stands motionless. The kid, still in the car, suddenly notices a car with no lights on moving up the street. It starts to pick up speed and fast.
Hey, Tracy, look out!
Tracy turns to see the oncoming car with a Tommy gun protruding from the window.
Merry Christmas, Kappa.
Ooh, 2 of them.
Ooh, that's really scary. Tracy pulls Tess into the door and covers her. The barrel snorts. Oh, it snorts too. That's when you know stuff's going down. Fire as bullets bite into the building. The kid huddles onto the floor of the car as bullets smack into the bricks, garage cans, and windows. As the car speeds away, Tracy raises to see if the kid is okay.
you okay, kid?
I'm okay.
Tracy moves to the middle of the street with his pistol down and watches the departing car as it wheels and disappears into the night. Tess comes to Tracy's side. Lights come on throughout the neighborhood and dogs bark. Ruff, 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 ruff. 2 cops on the beat run to him. So does the kid, his eyes huge with excitement.
Thanks for the tip, kid.
Who was it, Tracy? Tracy stares at Tess, unable to resume the conversation with her.
I'm not sure.
Tess returns his gaze.
I thought we was goners.
Yeah, they're trying to scare us, kid. Just trying to scare us.
Geez, this is incredible. Let's go get him. What are we waiting for?
But Tracy's attention is all on Tess.
Let's go get him.
I'm sorry.
Don't be. When you play in the street, it's part of the game. I know that. But don't ask me to like it. Good night, Tracy.
She walks to her door and enters as Tracy stares after her, then back at the dark street.
Stick around here, boys, will you?
Sure thing, Tracy.
He and the kid get into the car and drive off. Interior Tracy's outer office night. The kid sleeps. The door to the office is closed. Interior Tracy's office night. The room is dark, except for the lights coming from the goosenecked lamp. Tracy is working hard over a series of photos of cars that resemble the one from which he was shot at. Here's a knock. Knock. The beautiful, breathless Mahoney enters the room. Her left hand drags her fur sole casually along the floor, and her right hand holds a bottle of champagne and 2 glasses. She smiles seductively.
So glad you called.
She puts the 2 glasses on the desk and pours.
I was beginning to wonder what a girl had to do to get arrested.
Wearing that dress is a step in the right direction.
She's pretty. I'd like to change her hair.
I wouldn't.
Breathless sets the picture on the desk, gets up to the desk. Tracy goes on working.
So are you going to make a move, or do I have to do everything?
I'm on duty.
What's your day off?
Sunday.
Big world. Must be Sunday somewhere.
Tracy is not made of wood. Her eyes, her voice, her body language are having a strong effect on him. Tracy, the cop, is controlling Tracy, the man.
Seem hot to you?
Dipping her fingers into cold champagne, Breathless moistens her throat.
Why'd you call me here?
He is silent. Then her hand reaches across the desk and brushes Tracy's hair off his forehead. She moves closer and their eyes are locked until her focus moves down to the auto photos on his desk. After a moment, Tracy looks over at the top photo.
You know this car?
Breathless sits on the edge of the desk.
What I'm looking for is a driver, preferably one with some mileage.
Wow. She comes closer. Her lips are moist. Tracy stares at her motionless. Finally, he holds up the sapphire earring and drops it into her glass of champagne. How many miles per hour is that champagne? We do not know. She stares at him, startled.
I called you here because I know that I need you to be ready to testify.
She stares at him and finally shrugs. She comes closer, very close. Tracy's eyes are locked on her lips, but he makes no move as she closes her eyes and puts her lips onto a position to be kissed. Finally, she opens her eyes. Well, now she finally opens her eyes.
I said no.
Oh, sorry. I didn't hear it. Tracy is motionless. Sorry, this high-speed stuff is going crazy. Everything's just going so fast. Tracy is motionless. She backs away a little. Then she stands.
You're right, Tracy. Why would you get mixed up with a cheap floozy like me?
She stands.
Again. I'll be lucky if I get through the week alive. These guys are tough. I don't even know if they followed me here. It isn't easy, Tracy, you know? If you just want to throw me in jail, go ahead.
She exits. Tracy gets up, watches her leave. He grabs his coat. Interior outer office night. Tracy hurries out.
Tell the boys to watch the kid. Get Pat and follow me.
Exterior Club Ritz night. As Breathless noses her car in and niche between other cars parked in front of the club, she looks onto the rearview mirror again to see that Tracy has followed. The club is shuttered, but there are lights on the second floor. Interior Tracy's car night. Tracy pulls up slowly near the Club Ritz. Exterior Club Ritz night. Tracy's POV. Breathless exits her car and says hello to gangsters Johnny, Ram, and Ribs, Mocha as they get out of their car. Interior Tracy's car night. He speaks onto his wrist radio.
Come in. Pat, Sam, we got something hot here. Get upstairs across the street from the Club Ritz.
Interior Club Ritz conference room night. A large room. Big boy sits at the head of a long, shiny conference table. Flap top next to him. The lords of gangland sit at the table. They are Pureface, Johnny, Ram, Texie, Garcia, and the hard-bitten queen of prostitution Rips, Mocha, Spud, Sprenlot, and several others. Their bodyguard line the walls of the room. There is suspicion in every eye. Interior hallway across from Club Ritz night. Pat is peering into huge binoculars glued to the scene across the street. Sam is nearby.
Jumpin' Jiminy!
Exterior through the telescope night, the gangland chieftains appear even more anonymous from a distance and through a lens.
Pruneface, Ribs Mocha, Johnny Ram, every top hood in town. These guys hate each other. What are they doing together?
Interior Club Ritz conference room night. Big Boy cracks a walnut and looks down the long table at ganglands chieftains.
I remember you guys. When I was nothing. Pruneface. You tossed a firebomb in my car one night and gave me this.
Big Boy yanks his collar open, revealing a large red scar on his neck.
But I forgive you.
Pruneface toys with his neck.
Mocha, you put 3 slugs in me, but I lived. I forgive you too. And the rest of you guys. I owe you all something. But I forgive all of you because I have put the past in the past.
Big Boy crack a walnut in his hand.
However, a boss who cannot see the future is a liability to everyone concerned.
What are you, a fortune teller?
There is silence. Eyes shift. The slightest movement by anyone is watched carefully by everyone. Pruneface reaches onto his jacket, almost a fatal mistake. Every hood in the room opens his coat and touches his holster. Pruneface withdraws his hand, holding a pack of cigarettes. He strikes a match and lights a cigarette.
What's the matter, fellas? Nervous? What do you mean, the future, big boy?
Pruneface. What I mean is, the future is me.
Interior hallways across from Club Ritz night. Pat is glued to the binoculars.
Spud Spaldoni, Texi Garcia, Joey DeSanto. Oh no.
Pat holds up the binoculars for Sam. Binoculars POV. On the ledge outside the conference room is Dick Tracy.
What's he doing there?
Uh-oh.
Interior hallway across from Club Ritz night. Pat is now looking down the street. Pat and Sam's POV. The Club Ritz ununiformed doorman who is always on duty places under the overhang outside the club, slapping his arms to get warm. He is starting to move out into the street. Interior hallway across from Club Ritz night.
Tracy, there's a doorman in the street. Don't let him see you. Better get down there and distract him.
Exterior conference room ledge, Club Ritz night. Creeping along the narrow ledge, Tracy moves to the window of the room. He sees the bulky shoulders of a bodyguard, stays back against the wall, but Tracy can hear only the rumble of voices, none of them clearly. Beneath his feet, we see the molding begin to move slightly. Interior Club Ritz conference room night. Big Boy has everyone's complete attention.
We've got a problem of organization. We're all split up. That's bad business.
There's a general agreement around the room.
Rabble.
While we are divided, the cops can keep us under control. But use your imaginations.
Eyes shift, glances are exchanged. There's just a trace of interest around the room.
We form a big company, see. Each of us here at the table are on the board of directors, just like they do at General Motors. I'm the chairman of the board.
Why you?
Because I have a vision. A big boss must always have a vision.
The face is watching Big Boy look interested. Big Boy smiles.
What we've got in this town is thousands of small stores and businesses, people who work real hard. I think they should be working real hard for us.
And dawning awareness sweeps through the room.
With our muscle, we will be their silent partner. Every time some citizen buys a pound of hamburger, we'll get a nickel. Every time some guy gets a haircut, we'll get a dime. We'll dress like bankers and join the Rotary Club. Together, we will own this town.
Why you?
Almost imperceptibly, Big Boy winks at one of his bodyguards, who then leaves the room.
Excuse me?
Pat's POV, Big Boy talking. The POV pans down to include Sam and the doorman. Exterior street, Club Ritz night. Sam has engaged the doorman, now pinning him under the overhang.
When does it reopen?
Tomorrow night.
I hear it's going to be a really top show.
Yeah, high class, real high class.
Real expensive, huh?
Oh yeah. The club is private. You gotta apply.
The doorman starts to move onto the street, but Sam blocks his path again.
Tell me, when's it reopening again?
Pat's POV through binoculars. His POV pans over and now includes a uniformed cop in alley looking up at the balcony. Interior hallway across from Club Ritz Night. Pat is stunned. He pans the binoculars onto Sam. His POV, the ununiformed cop. Exterior ledge night. As Tracy moves slowly, the molding under his foot cracks slightly. Suddenly he hears a loud voice.
Hey!
Tracy sees the ununiformed cop in the streets pointing his nightstick up at him. So does Sam.
Excuse me.
Where are you?
Excuse me. Could you tell me what time it is? That's Tracy up there.
The doorman is puzzled by Sam's behavior.
Sam.
Sam, then the rumor's true? Tracy's gone off his trolley?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Flaptop moves toward the window to open it. Trapped, Tracy looks like a goner. As Flaptop throws a cigarette out of the window, Tracy flans himself against the wall. When Flaptop closes the window and returns to his position behind Big Boy, the molding beneath Tracy gives way and he falls, catching himself by his fingertips. Sam crosses back to the doorman to engage him in conversation. The doorman looks over Sam's shoulders at the cop, but fails to see Tracy hanging from the ledge, and the bodyguard who left the room crosses to Spaldoni's car.
When do you have to apply?
Look, pal, I'm just the doorman.
Interior Club Ritz conference room night. There's an air of excitement now among the chieftains.
When do we kill Dick Tracy?
As you know, if anything happens to Tracy, I'm the prime suspect. You leave Dick Tracy to me.
There's a long pause. The gangland leaders are stunned by Big Boy's audacity, but are cautiously agreeable, except Spaldoni.
I'm out.
It only works if we're all in. Solidarity? That's a different movie, sir.
And it don't work. I got a good business. I'll take my chance alone.
I was thinking of Spumoni, but that's just me. Raising Spaldoni and his bodyguard head for the door, but find it blocked by Flaptop. There's a moment of tension.
Let him go. Maybe he'll have a change of heart.
Flaptop steps aside. Spaldoni leaves. Tracy pulls himself up to window level, close up to here.
All right, big boy. We'll leave Tracy to you. When does the board convene?
Tomorrow night, downstairs. The reopening of the Club Ritz, gentlemen. I pick up the tab.
Exterior Club Ritz Ledge Night. Tracy has dropped back out of sight. Below Tracy, we see Spaldoni and his men get into their limousine. Tracy speaks into the wrist radio.
I could hardly hear a thing, Pat. But if I'm right about what I think is happening here, we're having to move fast.
Exterior street across from Club Ritz Night.
I really think you ought to come down, Tracy.
Exterior Club Ledge Night.
I'm coming now. I can't hear a thing. We're gonna need a microphone. We've got to.
Suddenly, Spaldoni's limousine blows to pieces with a fiery explosion that leaves nothing but a cloud of smoke and a couple of flat tires. She is stunned. Exterior Club Ritz conference room night. Every hood in the room, but Big Boy, is over at the window, staring down at the up car. Big Boy looks extremely confident and cool.
Very upsetting.
Turns to look at the rest of them.
Very upsetting.
Exterior street Club Ritz night. The quiet of the night, all distributed now by the aftermath of Spaldoni's explosion. Pat angles towards Spaldoni's car.
Well, we didn't need a microphone to hear that.
As he moves, a figure is revealed behind menacing in a trench coat and a large brown hat.
Pat, I get the feeling Big Boy could have control of this town in a few days. We gotta find out what he's doing. Fast.
The figure is looking up at Tracy. This is the blank. This is the blank. He turns slightly, and we see her. We see for a fraction of a moment that he is completely faceless, a lump of flesh beneath the hat. He turns away and disappears. Interior Tracy's apartment slash bedroom slash bathroom. Early morning, raining. Close on a pair of small hands that hold a baseball. The ball is autographed. Best wishes, Joe Medego. Camera back to find the kid is in pajamas, sitting on the edge of a coat in the small dining area. Tracy is in the bathroom brushing his teeth. The kid watches.
Why do you want me to tell Bug Bailey?
Tell the bug we gotta get into the culprits tonight.
The kid walks curiously toward Tracy.
Peppermint?
Tracy sprinkles some tooth powder onto the kid's palm. Reluctantly, the kid touches the tooth powder in his palm with the tip of his tongue as Tracy reaches for his hat and raincoat.
For a tough guy, you do a lot of pansy things.
Is that right?
There's a knock at the door. The kid crosses to the living room. Interior living room. Tracy between the bathroom and living room.
Who is it?
Mr. Tracy,
Yeah?
I'm Mrs. Scaff. I'm with the welfare department.
The kid freezes.
Welfare department.
I'm afraid we're going to have to take the young man to the orphanage.
The kid streaks to the bathroom. Bedroom.
I'll just be a minute, please.
In the bedroom, the kid has taken on the look of a cornered animal whipping into his clothes.
I hope you understand, Mr. Tracy. As a single man, you can't just pick up a child off the streets and take him home. He belongs in an orphanage. It's the law.
In the living room, Tracy is finishing dressing as. In the bedroom, the kid is dressed. He stuffs his autographed baseball into his pocket and quietly raises the bedroom window to the fire escape. He takes one last glance around the room and is obviously going to miss it.
He has to be processed through proper channels. Then we'll place him in the proper orphanage.
On the dresser, the kid sees wallet. His survival instincts take over as he stuffs it into his pocket. Staring out the window, he is greeted by another crack of thunder. He ducks back for a moment and then steps out of the fire escape as the rain begins to fall in the living room. Interior living room.
Well, I believe I have the situation under control, Mrs. Scaff. If you'll just give me a minute.
He at the front door hears the activity, crosses to the bedroom.
Don't force me to get a court order, Mr. Tracy.
In the bedroom, Tracy finds the kid is gone.
Damn.
Interior hallway, Tracy apartment house day.
I don't.
Go for it.
Ma'am, ma'am, I do not enjoy being unpleasant, but I can be very firm if I have to.
In the living room, Tracy crosses.
Just leave the kid to me. I'll take care of it. Do you?
We don't know.
Flap view, his gun pulled. Tracy looks at Itchy, who has produced a gun.
We don't want no kid, copper.
Exterior street in front of Tracy's apartment day. The kid scrambling through an alley to the street suddenly stops. Obvious to the wallet from his pocket and money. But before he can throw the wallet into a nearby trash can, he sees Tracy's badge pinned to it. He stops, he's torn. He looks up at Tracy's apartment. Suddenly, the door to Tracy's building flies open. A struggling Tracy is shoved down the steps by a flap top and Itchy to a waiting car. The kid backs into the alley just as Itchy attempts to shove a resistant Tracy into the car. Flap hammers him over the head with the butt of his gun. The kid is stunned as he sees the two thugs throw Tracy inside the car, and Itchy jumps into the driver's seat. The kid runs into it as it starts to pull away. He splashes through puddles and almost trips a couple of times before he reaches the back of the car. Lunging, the kid grabs the bumper and pulls himself onto the car as it begins to pick up speed. Curled up inside the spare tire on the back of the holds on tightly as the car roars off. His eyes are wild and frightened, but he grips all his strength. Interior basement of Tess' apartment building morning. Flaptop and Itchy shove Tracy down the last couple of steps, and he comes to face with numbers and a smile. Big boy, a handful of walnuts from his pocket.
Glad you could join us, Tracy.
As Flap and Itchy sit Tracy on an orange crate in front of with an old boiler furnace, Big Boy crunches all of his walnuts with a single squeeze. Big Boy glances around at the messy basement.
We thought it might be better if you met us here at your girlfriend's apartment building while she's at work.
Yeah?
Tracy, this place is a dump. Don't you think your little honey's got a right to something better? If you were on my payroll, we can make her very happy.
Big Boy puts the cracked walnuts in one pocket and from another takes a large wad of bills. He starts peeling off money and stacking it on a table beside Tracy.
We all have our price, Tracy. Just tell me when to stop.
The money adds up to a large pile.
Are you going to put all that money down there?
15,000 clams.
Tracy stares at him.
Okay, Tracy. I can't tell you how happy I am that we can make this arrangement.
Big Boy finishes putting all the money down and smiles. Tracy picks up the stack of money from the table and takes a long look at it. Window, we see the kid watching, looking a bit disillusioned.
This is a lot of dough, Big Boy.
Big Boy smiles confidently.
And you're guilty of the attempting of bribing an officer of the law.
Tracy pitches the money in Big Boy's face and in the same motion slams an elbow with a bit of Flaptop's stomach. He levels Itchy with a whip-like left hook, but then is fine by Flaptop.
Come on, take the money. You prick, take the money.
He begins to throw the money into Tracy's face as Flaptop and Itchy tie Tracy to a chair.
Take it, you stuffed shirt, you yellow canary.
Flaptop holds his gun at Tracy's temple and Big Boy's lip curls into an ugly sneer as he backhands Tracy across the mouth.
No, what a terrible accident you're going to have. See those? Those are your girlfriend's trash cans. You brought them down to the cellar after you brought her over those pretty flowers you left upstairs.
Boy crosses to the furnace.
But who knows if they'll find the trash cans? I don't even know if they'll find your body.
And near the furnace.
Oh, this accident's been waiting to happen all day. When your friend Itchy knocks off that safety valve, this baby is chop suey.
He turns, crosses to the stairs as Itchy takes a position by the safety valve, twirling around, and Boy turns back again and Tracy.
Want to change your mind?
Why? I love a good bowl of chop suey.
The boiler furnaces roar as Big Boy and the others head for the stairs.
So long, sucker. Should have made the deal.
Alone now, Tracy struggles with the rope. Exterior Tess' apartment building morning. Big Boy and the others get into the car and drive away. The kid hides behind a corner until they are gone, then hurries back to the basement window. He sees the furnace begin to shake just a bit from pressure. With all his strength, the kid jimmies the rusty window open, slips through, and drops to the basement floor. Interior Tess' basement morning. The boiler furnace is rattling and shaking mildly now as the steam fills into the room. Tracy struggles with the rope, and the sweat covers his face from the intense heat of the boiler as the kid rushes to him.
Kid, get the hell out of here.
The kid tries to untie the rope, but the knot is too tight.
These knots, I can't get them loose.
It's gonna blow. Get out, we still can.
The kid stops and steps away from Tracy and looks at the shaking furnace. There's fear in his eyes, but he's thinking fast, reaching into his pocket. He pulls out the autographed baseball. Hopefully it's a good team. Then turns back to the basement window. He throws baseball through the window, spraying the floor with glass. Quickly, the kid picks up a sharp silver of glass. then returns to Tracy and begins to saw through. The boiler is shaking wildly now, and the steam is thick and hot. Suddenly, the rope snaps, and Tracy quickly shrugs the rope away. He scoops up the kid with one arm and dashes up the stairs two at a time. Upstairs, Tracy dashes to the door, unlocks it, and takes a half step outside. That's when it happens. Boom! A red flash of smoke and fire. Tremendous explosion. Exterior test apartment building. He is on the ground, a short distance from the explosion, stunned. His face is dark, his eyebrows singed, and his clothes torn. Tracy looks up. The kid is there.
You're all right, kid?
Gee, Tracy, that was a lot of dough.
A weary Tracy struggles to his feet. Interior City Hall corridor day. Tracy and District Attorney Fletcher walk briskly down a marble corridor of City Hall. Tracy is hot under the collar. Fletcher is coldly detached.
Are you telling me not to pull Caprice in?
Again. Tracy. 14 witnesses insist Caprice spent the entire morning at a dance lesson. I'm sorry.
Interior Tracy's office desk. Tracy and Tess stand on each other side of a proud kid as Chief Brandon presides. For action in the face of grave danger, the kid whose name will be filled in later picks one out is awarded this honorary detective certificate with badge. The kid tries to conceal that he is really very touched by the honor.
The best looking officer in the force, with or without a name.
Congratulations, pal.
This is a temporary certificate under you pick a name for yourself.
What's the matter with Kid?
Nothing.
Tracy produces a badge.
But this means no more jumping on the back of cars anymore.
Tess helps pin the badge onto the kid's suit. The kid pulls Tracy aside.
Tracy.
Yeah?
He leans down.
I got a badge for you.
What?
The kid points to Tracy's desk.
Top drawer.
Tracy walks over to the desk, opens the drawer, sees his wallet, opens it, his lost badge.
Yeah. Where did you?
Tracy breaks into a smile and offers a handshake to the kid.
Put it as detective.
Brandon pulls Tess aside. What about the orphanage?
We put it off till tomorrow.
Exterior cemetery night, city in background, a deserted cemetery. Big boy. Deserted.
What's the matter? We're not paying you enough money?
Fletcher appears.
It's Tracy. I killed his case against you, but that's the last thing I'm gonna do. You hear me? I'm out.
Big boy jabs
Stop poking my
hard
chest.
forefinger into thing.
I own you. You are mine. You're going to be the mayor of my city. I tell you what to do. When you're dead, that's when you're out, Mr. Mayor.
Turning away, Big Boy returns to his limousine where number 8 gets into the back seat. Interior Tracy's apartment night. Alone in his apartment, Tracy studies the mugshots of the gangland chieftains who attended Big Boy's meeting at the Club Ritz. He hears a knock, and picks up his gun and goes to the door.
What kind of ice cream?
Tracy opens it and sees the provocative breath.
Fresh peach. Better eat it right away. It's starting to run a little.
Tracy makes a quick check to the wall and turns back to her.
Aren't you going to frisk me?
Breathless enters the apartment, touching a lampshade. Ooh, touches the lampshade. The arm of a chair and an old beat-up radio. Exterior Tracy Street night. To be written, interior Tracy's apartment night.
If I testify against Big Boy, he'll have me bumped off.
You'd have to bump me up. He'll have to bump me up first.
Why?
Because I'd be protecting you 24 hours a day.
Breathless turns around and stares at Tracy.
You would?
That's my job.
You always put so much of yourself into your job.
Well, you'll never know until you testify.
Breathless smiles, so seductively. She crosses the room toward Tracy.
There's a pool of darkness in you, Tracy, and I'm here to take a swim. Come here.
Breathless delivers an incredible kiss of fire. Suddenly, Tess appears unseen in the half-open door. She backs silently into the hallway. Breathless finally withdraws from the kiss. She stares at him. As we hear the sound of a kid's feet running up the steps, Tracy quickly wipes off the lipstick. Now Tess and the kid appear in the doorway eating ice cream cones. Breathless is not that Tess has arrived. Just this moment, the kid's eyes bug out a bit.
What a cute little boy.
For once, the kid is speechless. Breathless continues to look Tess over.
Tess, this is.
I know who she is. Hello, Miss Mahoney.
You must be Miss Trueheart. I've been admiring your picture. Tracy's told me so much about you.
He doesn't know so much about me.
Oh? We'll be in touch, Tracy. Miss Trueheart.
She turns and walks to the door and stops and pats the kid on the head.
Really are a cute little boy.
The two women trade one last glare and Breathless exits the room. Tess turns to Tracy, whose smile is a little helpless.
I bet she does marvelous undercover work.
She sticks a dripping ice cream cone in Tracy's hand.
We're making our move on the Club Ritz tonight. What is this? What is this? Is this pistachio?
At the window, the kid watches wistfully for Breathless to appear on the street.
Now that's what I call a dame.
Tess crosses to the window and stares down at the street, hiding from Tracy, the tears welling in her eyes. Exterior car barn night. A taxi pulls into the curb in an industrial area, deposits 88 keys, and drives away. Checking the address, 88 keys moves into the car barn. Interior car barn night. 88 looks confused. His incessant gum chewing stops and looks around carefully, sees only a chair and a table. Mystified, 88 inspects the chair and table briefly. In the center of the table sits a small leather suitcase. In an envelope beside it, there's also an intercom speaker. He sits. Another light goes on. A backlight that outlines the figure in the trench coat and hat we have seen before. The figure holds a microphone, and his voice comes through the speaker in a distorted, hoarse whisper. It is the blank. He holds his head in a pained manner, shielding his brain face, never looking directly at his listener.
Open the suitcase.
88 shrugs, then opens the suitcase and finds it's filled with money.
5,000. Your first payment.
For what?
You want to make a lot of money helping Big Boy.
Again, 88 Keys stops chewing his gum. He is stunned.
Open it.
I thought I did.
Sorry.
Did I miss something? Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Well, I mean, yes or no?
Yes or no?
Yes.
Hand the envelope to Big Boy. Tell him it was slipped under your door. You don't know where it came from.
88 picks up the envelope. He can hardly see the figure.
Who do I tell them you are?
You don't, because you never saw me.
He lifts his head, and for an instant, 88 Keys can see that he is a lump of flesh beneath the hat. 88 is shaken.
And don't try to find me. I'll find you.
The light goes out. Blank is gone. 88 looks bewildered and a little shaken. Exterior Tess' apartment night. A distraught Tess gets out of her car and passes the newsstand on her street. A figure in the shadows observes her. A masked man. Interior Club Ritz conference room night. Big Boy is climbing into evening dress, assisted by flap top and numbers. The blank envelope is torn open, and 88 Keys reads the note to Big Boy as a curious Breathless listens in the background.
Sorry about it. If you kill Dick Tracy, you will be the prime suspect and the city will mobilize against you. But for 10% of your business, we guarantee Dick Tracy will not be a problem for you anymore, and you will not be surprised or suspected of anything.
Big Boy frowns like an enormous thundercloud. He begins to tie his tie.
What can you lose? If they don't deliver, you don't pay.
Flaptop helps Big Boy into his evening jacket.
Piano Man, would you like me to snap my fingers and have you made into a hamburger? I'm gonna make a deal with some bun you never saw and don't know how to get to. Get him out of here. Go play the piano.
On the way out, 88 Keys passes breathless.
What was that about?
My
My
income
income
tax.
tax.
That's not my
Ooh.
line. I apologize.
Bitch,
There's-
that's my fucking line. It's my income tax. You
And the
fuck.
battle royale for whose income tax it is rages on. He leaves.
So what was that all about?
Sorry. That's none of your business. I'm your business. Get over here.
Breathless drifts over to Big Boy.
You want me to follow him?
Where to? The piano?
He slaps Breathless lightly on the face, then grabs her by the throat and kisses her. Interior, Tracy's apartment night. Tracy, in a rush, finishes strapping on his gun and throws on his coat. The kid appears with his jacket on.
Where do you think you're going?
The kid looks at Tracy pleadingly.
I'll be back later.
The kid, beaten, turns back to the bedroom and closes the door. Tracy looks after the kid a moment, puts on his hat and his wrist radio, and starts for the door. Exterior, Club Ritz night. A crowd is entering the club. Interior, main room night. The room is packed with well-dressed patrons. A Breathless sings, "I always get my man." The song will continue until the end of the upcoming montage sequence. That's great. Exterior/interior garage, Club Ritz night. A gray-haired waiter enters the garage and opens the door to the busy, crowded kitchen and slips in unnoticed. Interior main room night. The entire atmosphere of the club is changed from the quiet elegance of Lips Manless to the wild revelry of Big Boy. Breathless continue to sing as a chorus line of skimmily dressed floozies dance behind her. Big Boy sits in the center of it all, a ruling monarch with him at his table as Pruneface, Taxi, Garcia, Johnny, Ram, and Ribs Mocha.
What do you think? Is this high class or not?
Shoot, I forgot my hat. I gotta hand it to you, Big Boy. They're the best broads in town.
Exterior street night. A police car pulls silently to the curb across the street from Club Ritz. Interior, Tracy's car night. Tracy speaks into the wrist radio.
Move in. Take your positions.
Exterior street night. Other police cars pull into the area and ring the club. Ding dong. Exterior rooftop night. Sam and Bug Bailey, a spectacly deeply focused man with listening equipment, are dressed in black. They dash across the rooftop quickly, jimmying the lock on the skylit, and slip down the rope they've tied to a pipe on the roof. Interior attic night. Flashlights in the dark attic. Bug Bailey begins to remove the primitive and elaborate microphone from his black satchel. As a fascinated Sam watches, Sam speaks into his wrist radio.
We're in. No trouble.
Make it snappy, Sam.
Bailey begins to drill a hole in the floor. Interior main room night. Breathless sings on the bandstand in a blue spotlight near the guarded stairway. Leading upstairs, the gray-haired waiter checks his watch. Interior police car night. Tracy is looking at his watch and the second hand climbs to 12. He speaks to his wrist radio.
Okay, boys, let's go.
He watches, ununiformed cops pour out of the cars and head for the building. Exterior Club Ritz night. A doorman sees the cops coming toward the building. He quickly presses the button. Beep. Interior main room night. A loud bell rings and the customer Thank you. Begin to panic, except Breathless, who continues to sing. Big Boy raises quickly at his table and crosses to the gambling tables in the back.
Take it easy. Everything's under control.
Two people stay away from the 21 table. It revolves into the wall and is replaced by a dining table for two, and they sit. Exterior, Club Ritz night. Cops enter. Interior, main room night. Police begin to pour into the entrance. During the confusion, the stairway is left unguarded and the gray-haired waiter slips upstairs. This is a major bust as 24 cops enter the room from every direction. Tracy is the last to enter. The general in command. Every eye is on him as he crosses the room, seeing a few familiar faces along the way before the gambling tables are now concealed.
Judge Harper, you look nice without your robes on. How are you, Congressman? Good to see you and your daughter out of town.
The blonde with the congressman is definitely not his daughter. Interior, upstairs, conference room night. The gray-haired waiter enters, turns on the lights, and closes the door. He climbs onto the conference table and sees the holes that are being drilled. Interior main room night. The big detective moves to Big Boy's table when he looks at the chieftains over.
Gang's all here. Looks like a class reunion.
This is a private party. Invitation only.
Here's my invitation. Search warrant.
Tracy tosses the warrant on the table, still at the microphone. Breathless watches Tracy. He gives her a glance. Simply enough, Tracy has a hard time keeping his eyes off her. A uniformed cop approaches Tracy.
No
No
gambling.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Tracy looks at the tables behind him.
You mean we thought we'd be gambling here?
Prune face.
That's your cue, prune face.
I got distracted by the music. I'm sorry. She's just so she makes me breathless. I put on my hat backwards too. Shit.
The
Well,
detective thinks we're gambling in here.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be caught dead in a place that permitted gambling.
The chieftains are in a merry mood. At Tracy's expense at the stairway, Tracy sees the gray-haired waiter slip back into the room.
I'll be back, Big Boy.
Let us know when you're dropping in. We'll throw.
Huh. The big party's reserved for you. Let's go, boys. At the big house.
He turns and follows the police to the door. The chieftains look at one another.
I thought you was going to take care of Tracy.
Sorry, my internet's lagging.
I think you're back.
There we go. My internet's crappy. Sorry.
He didn't really look around. I don't get it.
Hey, relax, big boy. He was just trying to louse up your opening.
Breathless continues to sing. Finally, everything is normal again, and the party resumes. Exterior street night. Breathless sings over. The police cars drive away as Tracy gets into the back seat of his car and speaks into his wrist radio.
We're out, Sam. Tell Buggy's on his own.
The gray-haired waiter runs up to the car and jumps in beside Tracy as he drives away. Interior car night. Peeling off his disgust, the waiter is Pat.
How'd it go?
Clockwork.
Let's hope Big Boy thinks I'm too stupid to look under on top of the table.
Behind their heads through the rear window, the face of the kid rises, but his nose pressed to the glass.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, I'd call it embarrassing.
Exterior moving car night. And they painted the kid banging onto the back of the car for dear life, ducks out of sight. Exterior Club Ritz day. Breathless sings sings over. Outside the club Ritz the same night, a car pulls to the curb and three men get out. Flat Top, Itchy, and Mumbles, each man carries a couple of black satchels onto the club Ritz. Interior conference room night, Breathless sings over. Big Boy sips coffee as the three men enter the conference room, opening one of the satchels. Flat Top dumps bundles of money onto the long table.
All right. Now get over to 132 Broad Street. Next, the Acme Diner.
As the number counts the money, camera raises to the ceiling where we see a microphone concealed in the light fixture. Interior attic night. Breathless sings over. Bud Bailey has set up his listening post. He is in a position with his headset and microphones. He also has a wrist radio strapped on and has gotten himself comfortable with a fat sandwich, half eaten, the other half resting in wax paper, and a thermos of coffee, the top of which serves as a cup at the ready. The cup is filled. Bug speaks into his wrist radio.
Tracy, this is Bug. The Acme Diner.
Exterior street night. Breathless sings over. Dick Tracy drives his car listening to his wrist radio.
That's at 132 Broad Street.
Tracy makes a note of the information. Bug has just passed along and turns his car around. Interior ACME Diner night. The ACME Diner is entered by face one, and Tracy pops up from behind the counter, and face one puts his hands in the air. Like you just don't care. Montage sequence. Breathless songs continues with energy over. A swirl of imagery. Face two on the phone, then Big Boy on the phone. Then Bug speaking to Tracy. Then Tracy turning his car while giving instructions. Then police cars are racing into the night. Then Phase 2 shows up at Place 2, and Tracy materializes again. Newspaper to headline. Extra! Tracy battles mob. Tess works sadly with flowers in greenhouse. Phase 3 on the phone, then Big Boy on the phone, then Bug listens and calls Tracy. Tracy listens to the Bug and turns. Phase 3 gets to Place 3, which is full of prostitutes. Tracy and his men show up and make the arrest. Phase 3 tries to mix it up with Tracy, and Tracy flattens him. At home, Tess is brushing her hair at the bathroom mirror. She stops suddenly. Moving on, Tess. Phase 4 on the phone, then Big Boy on the phone, then Bug listens, then Tracy turns his car around. A Ford coupe with Phase 4 in it speeds through the night, pursued by Tracy firing his pistol. The Ford goes out of control and smashes into a brick wall. Phase 5 on the phone, then Big Boy on the phone, then Bug listens, then Tracy turns his car around. Tracy's squad arrives at a restaurant like wild commandos. Interruptions a big payoff. Phase 5, who elects to shoot it out with Tracy, he loses the election. Tess opens a closet door and reaches for a suitcase. She throws it on the bed and begins to pack. Moving on, Tess. A final swirl of imagery, other faces on the phone, Big Boy on the phone. Bug listens, Tracy turns the car around. Axes smash, slot machines, gambling tables are turned over. Hoods are herded into paddy wagons. Newspaper headline: Tracy wipes out gambling ring. Pressure builds on Caprice. And montage sequence as Breathless song finishes over an extreme close-up of a giant cockroach approaching a giant sandwich. We hear Big Boy raving as the cockroach reaches the sandwich and the huge cup of coffee next to it. We see that they are on the top of a table. Beyond, we see Bug Bailey monitoring the headset in the attic. Interior conference room night. Big Boy is raving to Prune Face while he's been fitted for a new tuxedo.
Tracy hit Phase 1, character number 2, insert person here, and all those other characters.
Big Boy jerks away from the startled Taylor, who quickly scurries out of the room.
Everywhere I turn, it's Tracy, Tracy, Tracy. It's like he's reading my mind.
Interior club, Ritz attic night. When Bug turns and reaches for the sandwich, he sees the cockroach, and look of a total horror comes over his face. The cockroach stops, then heads to the interior of the sandwich. Ooh. Bug swats desperately at the cockroach, but doesn't realize he has tipped over the cup of coffee. Oh no. Bug intends on his work monitoring Big Boy. Fulminations and scribbling notes, doesn't realize that the coffee is silently dripping into the microphone hole. Drip, drip. Interior conference room night.
Tracy Garcia's out of action. Rib Smoker and Johnny Graham. Now DeSanto. Who's next?
Prune face jabs a forefinger into Big Boy's chest.
You said you had a way of taking care of Tracy. You said you'd make it look like an accident. Leave it to me, you said. Well, let me tell you something.
He puts a newspaper in front of Big Boy featuring Tracy's exploits and the headline.
You said you had a way of taking care of Tracy. I said it again because, you know what? I read the same line over again. I'm taking this bum out of the headlines. Rubbing him out.
Not so fast. You shoot Tracy. They point the finger at me.
As he reaches for the newspaper, something suddenly catches Big Boy's eye. A small drop of liquid has fallen onto the photograph of Tracy. Oh, that was great. Glancing suspiciously at the ceiling, he sees a liquid stain. A couple of more drops fall, and the Big Boy touches them with his finger. He tastes, and it looks puzzled. Big Boy climbs up onto the table and looks in the night fixture. Seeing the microphone, he reaches for his gun. Exterior Mike's Diner night. A greasy spoon through the front window. We see Mike at the stove. The kid is asleep in his booth. Interior Mike's Diner night. Tracy wolfs down a bowl of chili as Tess stares at him.
Not hungry?
Tess shakes her head.
Mike, what you put in this chili? Melted rubber?
Sometimes I wonder why I slave over a hot stove for you, Tracy.
Tess looks at Tracy.
What's the matter?
Tracy, I'm leaving.
Tracy stops eating.
I used to be afraid that maybe things will never settle down, that you never take some time. Now I know it.
As Tracy stares at Tess, the small, frightening voice of a Bug Bailey can be heard over Tracy's wrist radio.
I lost my spot.
76 in the media.
Tracy, come in, Tracy.
Tracy ignores his wrist radio.
Got Big Boy on the run now. That's good.
The wrist radio erupts again.
Tracy, come in, Tracy. Come in, Tracy.
Tracy still ignores it.
Good luck, Tracy.
Please come in.
Tracy speaks into his wrist radio.
What is it, Bug?
Go to the South Side warehouse.
Tracy stares at Tess. There is a moment.
Oh, go ahead, Tracy.
I'll be back.
Now Tracy bolts for the door as Tess watches him go. Interior Southside warehouse night. Bug Bailey is blindfolded and bound in a wooden crate next to a trap door which is open to the river below. Bug can say nothing as the barrel of flat top gun is in his mouth. The wrist radio is in front of Bug, a face on an edge of the crate that would encase churning cement waiting to be poured.
I can't quite hear you, Bug, but I'm on my way to the Southside warehouse.
Big Boy removes flap top gun from his mouth. Bug suddenly drops his head forward, grabs the wrist radio with his teeth, and flips it high into the air. It drops through the open trapdoor and lands in the river below. Big Boy snaps his fingers, and the cement mixer tips and begins to shower on the big and filled the crate. He turns around and leaves numbers. Interior Tracy's car night. Tracy drives through the streets. He speaks into his wrist radio.
Come in, Bug. Come in, Bug.
Tracy's car drives into the night. Interior Tracy's car, Southside warehouse night. Tracy cuts the motor and parks silently. Death of Bug sequence. Tracy arrives. Tracy enters warehouse. He sees at distance the back of a bug who appears to still be alive. He sees the danger from Prune Face and Flaptop, etc., that he will encounter if he attempts to save Bug's life as he proceeds with it. After dealing heroically with that danger, he gets to Bug and finds that Bug is already dead. Suddenly, Tracy is entrapped, in danger of being buried in cement, and while Tracy is coping with Flat Top and Prune Face is shot to death by the blank. The unarmed Flat Top runs away, and Tracy is left distraught about Bug and confused about the blank. Interior Club Ritz conference room night. Big Boy is being treated like a king. A shave and a haircut, a manicure and shoes shine. He glares at Flat Top, and his voice is quite.
How long has this guy been working for Tracy?
Who says he is working for Tracy?
Ever hear of a guy with no face?
Honey, Dick Tracy drives you crazy, doesn't he?
All right, that's enough. Both of them. I want this no-face dead, and I want Tracy dead. Did you promise to figure out how to kill people? Doesn't the way you work mean anything to you? Don't you have any pride in what? Tracy dead.
Grabbing a bottle of hair tonic, he flings it at the huge mirror. The mirror smashes into thousands of pieces.
But Big Boy, you wanted it to look like an accident.
Yeah.
Exterior Southside warehouse night. Tracy walks to the car with Pat and Sam, the sound of a foghorn in the background.
Don't get me wrong, Tracy. If you say there was a man with no face, I'll bet the mortgage there was, but who's he working for?
Yeah, who's he working for?
Tracy looks around quietly at his surroundings. The sound of the foghorn continues.
I don't know. I didn't dream him up. Let's go, boys.
Exterior street night. Big Boy's limousine cruises down a midtown street. Interior limousine night. Big Boy sits with 88 keys in the back of the limousine. Numbers is driving.
I don't know, Big Boy. I guess you use force. They use finesse. But you get rid of the problem of Tracy, and it's only costs you like 10%.
Big Boy stares at 88 keys for a long time.
I'm just gonna play the piano even though there's no piano here. What can you lose?
Big Boy pulls an envelope stuffed with money out of his pocket.
Okay, piano player. You got a deal.
They shake hands. Interior Club Ritz night. 88 keys sings at the piano. What can you lose? Interior
I
Mike's.
don't remember the song.
Well, what can you lose if you can't remember the song? Interior Mike's diner night. Chief Brandon is at the counter with the kid. Tracy walks in. Mike, give this kid a stick of spearmint. The kid angles over at Mike as Brandon approaches. Tracy seems surprised to see Brandon.
Where's Tess?
Out of town. She asked me and the boys could take care of the kid till they take him to the boys' home.
Tess went out of town?
Oh. Brandon hesitates, not knowing what to say. Sorry, Tracy. She said you knew. Tracy is bewildered. Anything I can do?
No. Chief, thanks for filling in.
The voice of 88 Keys continues to sing of lost love as Tracy crosses to the counter with the kid following. Tracy orders coffee, so does the kid. They look at each other. Mike looks at them both. Exterior street night. Brandon walks alone in the street. Exterior street night. Tracy and the kid walk together. Exterior Tessa's car. Tessa's car drives in the night. Interior Tessa's car night. Tess drives. Interior Club Ritz. Different day. Breathless sits at the piano and joins the song with 88.
I work for Big Boy. He wants you.
Interior Tracy's office night. The kid sits staring at Tracy.
I know him. It's not him. Did you call Pittsburgh? Come here. Look. Tell those guys this doesn't look anything like what I said. This is the shape of the head. The ears were like this. Got it?
He looks at the kid. The kid just stares at him. A long box with a note on it is brought up and put on his desk.
What's this? Open it.
He stands and smacks the coffee pot.
This is old. How am I ever gonna get one messy piece of evidence that sticks on Big Boy if I can't even get a cup of hot coffee?
He looks at the kid again, who does not avert his gaze.
Look, I'm a cop. I can't keep a kid. It's the law.
He stands up and walks into the hall. Exterior hallway night as Tracy reads a note from the box.
Who's on the coffee? Rip Van Winkle? Where's the other?
Interior insert of Tess Trueheart cart. Dear Dick, we really should talk this out. Please come over to Greenhouse.
Chief, would you take care of the kid for a while? Tess wants to talk.
Sam has untied the box.
Tracy, you got flowers.
He holds them up, but Tracy is gone. Exterior police station night. Tracy dashes out as a welfare worker walks in. Exterior greenhouse night. Tracy's car pulls up. He gets out and enters the greenhouse. Interior greenhouse night. Tracy enters and finds himself alone in the greenhouse, surrounded by masses of flowers. A period song emanates from a small radio. A faucet is left running into a sink. He waits for Tess, smiles, and breathes the heady fragrances. Interior police station night. The kid comes face to face with welfare worker who has come to take him away. Interior greenhouse night. As Tracy breathes the flowers, he feels a buckling in his knees and moves to sit in a chair. He sees a paper bag on the floor, out of which several muffins have fallen. Not the muffins. Suddenly a line goes on, a spotlight shining directly onto his eye. The dance music is interrupted by static and then by filtered and distorted voice of the blank.
Relax, Tracy.
Who are you?
The blank's voice comes filtered and distorted in the room.
Your big career is over.
Gas emanates from the jets beneath the cellulines.
If you're working for Big Boy, tell him he's making a big mistake.
The gas increases from beneath from the lithium. The force blowing papers around the room and ripping Tracy's clothes as he attempts to rise.
It won't hurt you. It won't even kill you. Just relax and go to sleep.
Tracy is finally able to stand, but lunges from the door, lunges for the door, and collapses unconscious. Interior Midway Hotel night. A flea bag hotel in the center of town. A bored night clerk reads a dime mystery novel behind the front desk, and an old man sits in the lobby in rumpled clothes reading the newspaper. Suddenly, the front door bursts open. We see a flash of Dick Tracy in hat and trench coat, and so do the night clerk and the old man as he bursts through the lobby and strides up the steps, two at a time.
Hey, close the damn door.
The clerks walk over to close the door. The old man returns to his newspaper. Interior hotel corridor night. Still with his back to us, Tracy moves to the room 429 and unlocks the door. He goes in and closes the door behind him. Interior room 429 night. District Attorney Fletcher sits on the bed, impatiently smoking a cigarette. He looks up as Tracy enters.
You're late,
There is a sudden look of terror in his eyes as he sees a revolver in Tracy's gloved hand.
No. No, wait. No, who are you?
Two silent shots spit from the gun. Fletcher falls backward when tumbles on the floor, stone dead. For the first time, we see Tracy's face, but it isn't Tracy at all. It's the blank. Interior hotel corridor night, leaving the room quickly. He crosses the hall to the back stairway and opens the door. 88 Keys is there, carrying Tracy over his shoulder. Unconscious, he follows the blank quickly onto the room. Interior lobby, Midway Hotel night. The night clerk reacts to the muffled scuffles upstairs by pouring himself some coffee, and the old man puts his paper down again. Interior room 429 night. 88 Keys has propped Tracy up in a chair, and the blank is finishing placing the gun that killed Fletcher into Tracy's hand. He then places an envelope into Fletcher's pocket, also a gun in his hand. The blank sits and stares at Tracy.
Now?
The blank nods. Suddenly, 88 begins to yell at the top of his voice as he reads from a pad.
You can't blackmail me, Dick Tracy. Nobody does that to me. Nobody blackmails me. Put that gun away.
Interior Midway Hotel night. The night clerk at his desk hears the yelling.
Oh, I'm not done yet. I'm so sorry. Why do you think you're dealing with? Who do you think you are dealing with? If I have to go to jail, then you go to jail. I can have you run off the police force. Oh, my poor neighbors. I'm so sorry. Oh my God. I don't have to pay you. I don't have to give you a dime. I don't have to give you a nickel. Put that gun away.
As the yelling escalates, the night clerk comes out from behind his desk and stares up the stairs.
You better call the police.
Exterior street night. Cops run to the hotel. Interior room 429 night. The blank signals 88 to the window and out. Just as he hears footsteps in the hallway outside the hotel room door, the blank passes a bottle of ammonia under Tracy's nose and exits through the window. He peeks back in from the fire escape on Tracy as Tracy wakes up, just as the night clerk enters the room, finding Tracy with a gun in his hand, a murdered Fletcher in front of him. Aghast, the night clerk puts up his hands in horror as the cops rush in. Spinning newspapers over a photograph of Dick Tracy, the headline reads, Dick Tracy arrested for murder of D.A. Fletcher, evidence of blackmail, no bail set. The kid puts the newspaper down. He is an orphan. Interior Club Ritz conference room day. Big Boy holds the newspaper in his hands, throws back his head and laughs. 88 Keys sits calmly off to the one side, observing the other gang members, sits at the table, including Flat Top, Mumbles, Numbers, and Itchy.
That's beautiful. I want this hung on my wall. I gotta hand it to you, 88. Your people did it. They got Tracy out of the way.
Big Boy takes a bulging envelope from his inside pocket.
He's still alive. Keep him out of the way.
He gives 88 Keys the envelope and looks at his gang down the table.
We're back in business, boys. I may run for mayor myself.
He laughs hysterically. Montage sequence, a swirl of gangland activity with a huge up song blaring in the background. We see dice rolling cards being dealt with, mobsters roughing up small store owners, sacks of money rising higher and higher. A brief but vibrant college on the move once again. In the center of it, Tracy lies on his bunk alone in a cell. The kid, revolted, pushes away a bowl of mush in the orphanage, and Big Boy, king of the city. A huge close-up of Tess. Presently beautiful face is superimposed over Tracy lying in the jail cell. Interior jail cell corridor night. Brandon and the kid walk. I'll tell you why there's no bail, kid. Two witnesses in the lobby saw him dash in the hotel and run up the stairs toward Fletcher's room. He was found in the room with a gun in his hand and Fletcher lying dead on the floor, and everyone knows there was trouble between them.
Hey, wait a minute. You sound like you believe it.
I'm only telling you why the judge said no bail. On top of that, we found a blackmail note in Fletcher's pocket, and the handwritten experts say Tracy wrote it. Interior jail cell night, Tracy sits with Chief Brandon and the kid.
Why would Big Boy kidnap Tess? It's a federal offense.
Well, it certainly looks like she's been kidnapped.
I could find her in 10 seconds if I got back in the streets.
Brandon glances toward the guard waiting outside the cell and steps back in the corridor. Well, I'll leave the two of you alone for a minute. They should be coming to transfer you to county jail in a little while. He leaves. The kid and Tracy sit together.
Do your evidence just stay out this late?
It's not so bad. They let you out if a grown-up picks you up.
Not so bad.
Good food.
Interior jail parking lot night. Brandon walks into the night air. He turns and looks back toward the interior of the jail where Tracy and the kid are, and then walks to a car. He looks around and then bends down to talk to the driver. It is Sam. Pat sits next to him. Interior jail cell. Scene and incorporated value of which. Oh, okay. The kid gives Tracy a long look.
I got my permanent certificate, Tracy.
Finally pick the name?
Yeah.
He takes the certificate from his pocket and unrolls it.
It's all right with you.
He shows it to Tracy. Insert the certificate. It now reads Dick Tracy Jr. Tracy gives the kid a long look.
I believe in you, Tracy.
Tracy puts his hand on the kid's shoulder. The kid throws his arms around Tracy's neck, and the two of them hug each other tightly. Exterior jail parking lot night. Sam and Pat see Chief Brandon get into his car with the kid and drives off. Exterior jail back entrance night. Tracy is brought out in cuffs by two guards and is put into the back seat of a squad car. He is surprised to see Sam and Pat in the front seat.
What are you two doing here?
A long trip to county jail. I'd say it would take at least 8 hours to get there.
It's only 5 miles.
Sam leans back and begins to unlock Tracy's handcuffs.
I heard about a smart detective once who solved the whole case in just exactly 8 hours.
For a second, Tracy stares open-mouthed at Sam.
Call headquarters. Get a car to meet us at 34th and Central. And step on it. Pat, tell the chief I'm gonna kiss his big red Irish face. Oh, and Pat, tell him to bring something.
Exterior squad car night. The car zooms into the night and he turns a corner on two wheels. Interior Mumbles room night. Grabbing Mumbles by the undershirt, Tracy slams him against the wall.
Talk, you cockroach. Who set me up?
Dude, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, Pat.
Pat brings in the Sumeric polar bear from the interrogation room. Sam and a cop watch. They thrust the polar bear in front of Mumbles' face.
Isn't this pretty, Mumbles?
A wary Mumbles doesn't answer. Interior Police Headquarters night. Chief Brandon walks to a telephone and puts the receiver to his ear. Behind him, the kid continues to read the police ticker. Brandon speaking.
You interested in getting Big Boy?
Pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. Yes?
Go to 38th and Grand and wait for the call.
Interior, a telephone against a wall night. We see the back of a figure in a trench coat holding the phone, and then up of a quick angle, we see the figure is the masked man who kidnapped Tess. Who is this? Hello? The masked man hangs up the phone. Interior Police Headquarters night. Brandon holds the dead receiver in his hand and stares at his assistant. 38 and Grand. That's Club Ritz. Watch this kid till I get back. Get my car. Interior Mumbles room night. Now Tracy lifts the head of the polar bear. A large wire recorder is revealed. Mumble tenses.
You don't want to tell me who set me up, Mumbles?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about.
All right.
Tracy flips a switch inside the polar bear.
You want Big Boy to hear
That Tracy rewinds the recording and plays it again.
You want Big Bird to hear that?
Tracy rewinds the recording once more, but this time we see it plays back to holds his fingers around the wire.
Man lips.
What you think, Mumbles?
He plays it back one more with his fingers around the wire. Mumbles stares, paralyzed.
Big Boy killed man lips. Lips man lips.
Tracy plays it back once more, and there is still no response from Mumbles.
Okay. Come on, boys. Let's go play this for the Big Boy.
Wait! 88 keys. The piano man. He set you up. Big Boy played him to get you out of the way.
88 keys and Big Boys, huh? Okay, boys. Take them in.
Tracy walks out. Pat and Sam follow on as another cop handcuffs Mumbles to take him in. Interior Tracy's squad car night. Sam is driving beside Tracy beside him, Pat in the back. Tracy is deep within himself.
So what do we do? Grab 88 keys or go straight for Big Boy?
Sam, can't you see? Somebody wanted me to get out of the way. In order to get me out of the way, they made it look like I blackmailed and killed Fletcher. Now we're faced with a probability that Tess has been kidnapped. If Tess has been kidnapped, the question becomes, by whom? Who would kidnap Tess and then not even bother to ask for a ransom of any kind?
So what do we do? Grab 88 keys or go straight for Big Boy?
Is the enemy of my friend my enemy? And is the enemy of my enemy my friend?
What?
Or is the enemy of my enemy my enemy?
What did he say?
The enemy of my enemy is my enemy.
The enemy of his enemy is his enemy.
Exterior police car night. It corners on two wheels. Interior Club Ritz main room night. Big Boy walks to the phone and puts it to his ear. Nearby sit Flaptop, Numbers, and Itchy. Other gang lords and their bodyguards enjoy themselves.
Bruce speaking.
His eyes narrow as he listens at some length.
Who is this?
Interior wall telephone night. The blank listens on the telephone.
Who is this?
The blank hangs up. Interior Club Ritz main room night. Big Boy stares at the receiver, then hangs up and turns to Flaptop.
Take a look around the joint. Something's fishy.
He cracks a handful of walnuts. Exterior Tracy squad car night. It corners and two wheels. Interior Tracy's squad car night. Sam pulls the car into a street near the Club Ritz. Tracy is quietly determined as he climbs out.
Sam, you take the front. We're going to the roof.
Tracy, why are we going to the roof?
I don't know. It seems like a good place to hide.
Interior Clubhouse Ritz main room night. As the band begins a catchy tune, Flaptop rushes onto the main room.
Big Boy, I think you should come with me. Quick.
Exterior street night. Tracy and Pat hurry up the last few steps of a fire escape and arrive at the roof.
Tracy, why are we going to the roof?
Always try to be on top of things, Pat.
Exterior rooftop night. Tracy and Pat scamper across rooftops toward the roof of the Club Ritz.
Tracy, why are we going to the roof?
Pat, whoever framed me is framing Big Boy.
On the roof?
Interior Clubhouse Ritz night. The gloved hand of the blank is on the receiver of a wall phone.
Can you get through to Chief Brandon?
Interior Chief Brandon's car night. He is quietly pulling up near the outside of Club Ritz, speaking into his car radio. This is Chief Brandon. Interior outside Club Ritz attic door night. Big Boy waits for Flaptop to unlock the heavy door. Exterior Club Ritz door night. Tracy and Pat arrive out in the door. As they look down, they see Tess Trueheart tied to the chair, bound and gagged.
Jumpin' Jiminy.
Okay, Pat. I'm going to.
Bang! A gunshot rings up through the skyline, and Tracy shoves Pat out of the line of fire. Interior Club Ritz attic night. Big Boy enters the attic room and sees and seen Tess. Flaptop fires off another shot at Tracy.
Where did this dame come from? We've been framed. We've been framed. Untie her.
A Flaptop rushes to untie her.
Kidnapping? We're gonna get us on kidnapping? We've got to get her out of here.
This is
This is it. Lock all the doors, burn the records, break out the guns.
Geez, boss, Tracy's dame.
Somebody set us up. It's gonna get us on a kidnapping rap, all of us. Well, let's go.
The panic rises. Big Boy quickly unlocks his safe and stuffs his pockets with money. The hoods begin to arm themselves with the machine guns and shotguns stored in an ammunition closet as they rush downstairs. Big Boy moves quickly to the door and down the steps, clutching his hostage chest. Numbers, Itchy and the other hoods follow. Interior, clubhouse, Ritz, main room night, and unsuspectedly, clientele dances as the Breathless is singing a catchy tune accompanied by 88 Keys and the band.
Hurry up. Hurry up.
Some of the Big Boy's men lock and bolt the door, and others take positions at the window, discreetly covering their weapons from the Club Ritz patrons. Breathless sings on. Exterior clubhouse, Ritz front entrance night. Sam hurries to the chief.
Chief, the only way we'll get into this joint is if we bust our way in.
I'll just have to put everybody inside under arrest. Exterior club Ritz roof night. Pat leans over with skylight. Tracy is busy making calculations with paper and pencil. He scurries out of the Pat's view and back in again, making new calculations.
Tracy, what are you doing?
Tracy goes back out of view and comes back in again, carrying a long sideboard table, which he turns upside down and leaves under the skylight. Pat is confused.
Tracy, you okay?
Interior Club Ritz main room night. Breathless sings. The patrons gamble. Big Boy pushes Tess up on a window, glances down, and sees Brendan and his men taking positions in the street.
Numbers. Tell the coppers they'll never take me alive.
Numbers goes. Big Boy turns to the rest of his men.
We're making a break for it. Let's get out of here.
Exterior Club Ritz roof night.
What?
Interior Club Ritz attic night. Close on Tracy. He reaches out of shot and brings into shot his hat, which he pulls over the top of his head tightly.
All right. Pat. Jump.
What?
Jump, Pat.
Exterior clubhouse Ritz roof night. Close on Pat. He jumps, dropping out of the shot. Interior Club Ritz night. As Pat's feet land on the end of the sideboard, a large solid trash can in the center acts as a fulcrum, capitulating Tracy upward from the other hand. Exterior clubhouse Ritz roof night. Tracy, with both hands gripped with the brim of his hat, explodes up through the glass of the second skylight and lands on the roof. He runs on the edge of the roof and freezes as he hears Chief Brandon. All right, Big Boy, this is it. Tracy looks down and measures the distance for his next leap. Interior Club Ritz main room night. Pushing Tess along the edge of the main room of the club, Big Boy leans his men to the entrance of the garage.
Get my horn. That's the signal to go.
Exterior Club Ritz front entrance night. Chief Brendan holds a bullhorn to his mouth. Come out with your hands up. Interior Club Ritz main room night. The music stops, and Breathless on stage stands poised by her microphone. Everybody else, stay put. You're under arrest. Be calm. Exterior Club Ritz street night. You're all under arrest. He looks up and sees Tracy sail from the club roof to the third floor fire escape of the adjoining building, then riding the banister from level to level to the ground. Tracy crosses to Chief Brendan, who is amazed to see him. Interior Club Ritz, oh my god, garage night. 4 cars are lined up filled with hoods facing the garage door. The drivers rev their engines like bombers on an aircraft carrier. Flaptop and Itchy get into the third car. Gasoline fumes fill the garage, and Big Boy climbs into the back seat of the last car in line with Tess. Numbers is in the driver's seat. The kid now in the garage watches on his hands and knees. Exterior Club Ritz night. What if he tries to bust out and brings Tess with him?
Big Boy's too smart for suicide. We got to go in.
Interior Clubhouse Garage night.
Now, hit your horn.
Numbers hits the horn. The car streaks in a single line toward the garage door. Big Boy opens his door, and just as Numbers steps on the gas, Big Boy suddenly rolls out of the car, pulling Tess with him, leaving his henchman to his face the fire outside. Exterior Clubhouse Ritz Street night. Tracy and the chief are crossing the street to the front entrance.
Some of you men come with us. The rest circle around the building until
Exterior street in front of Club Ritz night. Blam! The garage door flies off their hinges as the first car suddenly smashes through them and opens fire. Tracy dives behind the door fender of the chief's car. The chief joins his men behind a line of cars across the street from the club. All hell breaks loose. Tracy shoots out the left front tire and the car rolls over onto its left side, continuing onto its hood, skids on its hood into the building across the street from the club near the chief, and bursts into flames on impact, which continues through the remainder of the sequence as the second car roars in out of the garage. Tracy is in the center of the street, rolls for cover behind the left rear bumper of the chief's car. As the second car rolls by, Tracy opens up, cutting open the side of the car like a sardine can. The second car fishtails down the street and continues headlong into a telephone pole and fire hydrant on the far side of the alley, sending up a fountain of water, which continues for the rest of the sequence. Tracy goes towards the wreckage and the fountain, ready for the action as Flaptop car roars up out of the garage with Itchy driving. The driver is distracted by gunfire, swerves, swiping the chief's car, knocking it out toward the center of the street. The driver continues, but his car gives up as the trunk abuts the chief's trunk. Flaptop gets out of his stalled car with no places to go. He spies Tracy near the curtain of water across the street as the fourth car sails out into a hail of bullets. With the street one blocked by fire and police on the right and wreckage on the left, the car has no choice. It is clearly going to pile over the ass end of Flaptop's stalled car.
I've got you, Tracy.
Tracy whirls just as the fourth car sails over his head. Lance continues to careen down the street, stopping just short of the police barricade. Tracy outs a commanding figure against the water backdrop.
Give it up, Flaptop.
Flaptop, backlit by a current of fire from the first car, responds with a wild, while ignoring missing Tracy. Tracy responds with a single round. Flaptop, mortally wounded, tips toward the pavement in a jerky movement propelled about the recoil of his Tommy gun, like a madman with a jackhammer, finally hitting the pavement with a thud when his gun runs out. Tracy runs towards the club entrance. Interior Club Ritz main room night. Big Boy runs back into the main room and the club Ritz with Tess. The patrons cower under the tables and against the walls as he hurries through the room. Breathless, eyes him from behind the bar. She is sipping a drink, smoking a cigarette.
Bon voyage, tough guy.
She watches Big Boy shove Tess into the club's wine room. Exterior front entrance, Club Ritz night. Tracy searches frantically through the bullet-ridden cars. There is no sign of Tess. Only the inert bodies of the Flaptop, Itchy et al. But no Big Boy. Tracy dashes out onto the Club Ritz. Interior Club Ritz night. The place is a shambles, patrons still covering under tables as Tracy comes to the center of the room. He sees Breathless at the bar.
Where are they?
Oh,
This is the sound of Foghorn.
Where are they?
I don't know.
Tracy just looks at her. He hears the sound again. Interior wine room night. Tess and Big Boy disappear behind moving wall of wine bottles. Interior sewers night. Big Boy cannot close the wall to the wine room securely, but he lodges several planks in front of the wall, which have been put there for purposes of obstructing the opening. We hear the foghorn clearly as Big Boy shoves Tess down onto an oversized skateboard and lies down beside her, pushing slowly off down the incline of the drain. Interior club main room night.
Breathless.
Would it make a difference to you, Tracy? You think she's more your kind?
As Tracy stares at her and drifts towards the wine room, he hears the sound of foghorn again, this time quite faint. Interior wine room night. Tracy enters the room, sees the wall slightly askew, and realizes that Tess and Big Boy could be behind the wall. The wall is impossible to budge, and suddenly he stops, trying and listens to the faint foghorn. Tracy finalizes what this means. He turns and runs. Interior sewers night. A sweating Big Boy and terrified Tess roll through the tunnel. Exterior Club Ritz night. Tracy burns out of the entrance past 88 Keys, who was handcuffed and being led to a police car, and runs down the street, leaving puzzled Sam and Chief Brendan. Exterior streets night. Tracy runs. Exterior more streets night. Tracy runs. Interior stewards night. Big Boy and Tess roll on through the tunnel. The foghorn sounds. Exterior still more streets night. Tracy runs. Interior sewers night. Big Boy yanks Tess by the hair, and they arrive at the end of the tunnel. Exterior river bank night. Tracy arrives at a vantage point which affords him a direct line of a sight to the tunnel opening where Big Boy is emerging with Tess, his hostage. Exterior city bridge night. Big Boy drags Tess onto the bridge and they head across it as brightly lit cruise ships steer toward the center. Exterior riverbank night. Tracy sprints toward the bridge in pursuit. Exterior bridge night. As Big Boy pulls Tess towards the center of the bridge, he realizes that it is separating to allow the cruise ship to pass. Suddenly shots are heard. Big Boy halts and reverses his direction, pulling Tess back the way they came. He sees Tracy pulling them and realizing his only alternative is to pull Tess down to the gear house of the drawbridge, which he does just as fireworks from the ship begin to explode spectacularly in the sky. Interior gear house night. Opening the door, Big Boy yanks Tess into a super subterranean concrete room and leans heavily back against a cement wall, grasping his breath. He looks at him. Big Boy is startled for a moment by the monstrous industrial mechanism he is confronted with. Gears match, levers crank, giant wheels revolve at an antagonizingly slow pace, groaning against a great weight. The drawbridge gear room is laden with years of grease and dust and dirt. Big Boy begins to tie Tess to the huge, slowly moving drawbridge. His eyes dart quickly toward the door as it starts to open. He grabs his gun and crouches behind the huge gear, using Tess as a shield. Tracy enters the room slowly and his eyes search every corner. Big Boy peers up over the gear and Tess raises his gun and aims it directly at Tracy.
Drop the gun, copper, or the next. Drop your girlfriend's name.
Don't do it, Dick.
As Tracy drops his gun, it falls into the gun revolving spokes, then rattles the floor below and fires spontaneously. Boom, 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 hitting somewhere behind Big Boy. Big Boy whirls toward the sound and fires his gun at it, dropping to his knees. Tracy disappears from the sight as he crawls now under another of the huge menacing gears and comes up behind Big Boy. Startled, Big Boy pivots Big Boy pivots just as he puts a heavy shoulder into Big Boy's soft belly and drives him to the floor. Big Boy's gun clatters across the floor, and the two men wrestle under the wheels of more gears. Big Boy's massive hands close around Tracy's throat, and the detective strains to break through the death grip. He hammers Big Boy across the jaw, then hammers him again, and then a third time. Big Boy's grip is broken as he falls away, tries to muscle Tracy's head into a gear, opening closer and closer. Tracy's head dangles. The huge gear starts down to crush Tracy's head, but the detective pounds both fists against Big Boy. Ear and Big Boy flies backward in pain. Tracy jerks his head out of the opening just a moment before the powerful gear crushes down, at the same time bringing Tess to the tooth of the gear closer to being crushed. Big Boy scrambles out of from underneath the wheel and scurries from the gun. Tracy reaches out to the tackles him, spilling Big Boy to the floor, then hammers him with a flurry of lefts and rights. Both men are exhausted as Tracy puts all his strength into one last roundhouse punch. Big Boy falls heavily to the floor, attempting to rise, but collapsed at Tracy's feet. Tracy turns back again to untie Tess, but sees something out of the corner of his eyes. The blank stands in the doorway that leads into the sewer tunnel. His gun is pointed directly at Tracy as he steps further into the room. Big Boy struggles to his feet and faces the blank.
Don't move, big boy. I outsmarted you. I knew you'd panic. I brought you down with kidnapping, the only crime you didn't commit.
Big Boy freezes, glimpsing his own gun on the floor and a few feet away.
Yeah, I think there's a lag.
Yeah, yep. All good.
I'll do that line. Whoever you are, let's cut a deal.
No deal. I'm taking it all. With you two out of the way, I'll own this town.
Tracy takes a step toward the blank.
I know who you are.
The blank trains the gun on Tracy as Tracy takes another step.
I know what you've done.
The blank just stares at Tracy.
You know what you want. It's not gonna happen.
The blank hand seems frozen on the trigger for a moment. He then lowers the gun, pauses, but as Tracy continues to walk toward him, he raises it again and aims it at Tracy, his fingers tightening on the trigger. As Tess, one notch closer to disaster, the kid's head pops up from behind equipment and he suddenly dives for the blank, tackling him from behind. As the blank pitches forward, face first, dropping his gun, Big Boy scrambles to retrieve his own gun, whirls it, and blasts it shots onto the blank. Turns onto a charging Tracy and is met by a thundering punch that knocks him backward over a guardrail and down into the center of the moving gears. He screams, and the last thing he sees is the giant gear crushing down on Tracy, yanks the rope from Tess and feet, and they hear hands freeing her from the giant gear, a last tooth away from being crushed. The gear revolves on a we hear from the cruise ship outside the strains, and Alu Lang, yes, Ling, the kid watches with big eyes.
Tess.
I knew you'd find me, Tracy.
Tracy embraces Tess, then he turns and crosses the room to the blank and kneels down beside him. Carefully removing the blank's hat and now peeling back layers of material which is constitutes the blank's face, Tracy reveals breathless Mahoney, whose long traces at last topple free.
Yeah, look at that.
Call an ambulance, Tess.
Tess stares at Breathless for a moment, then hurries away to find a telephone, propping Breathless up in his arms. They see him, the small ironic smile appear.
You were right, Tracy. I couldn't pull the trigger.
It was a great plan, Breathless. You almost pulled it off. The city would have been yours.
Yeah, my only mistake was you.
Breathless raises her heavy eyes to Tracy.
Tell me the truth, Tracy. Could it ever have happened between us?
It came damn close.
Breathless smiles again and looks almost peaceful with a nearly lifeless hand. Breathless pulls Tracy's face close to her. She kisses him very gently, then her hand falls limply. Tracy looks very sad as he gently lays Breathless back on the concrete, raising slowly. He looks at her. There's a mixture of bitterness and hurt of his eyes as he stares at her. He looks at vulnerable, feeling his sense of loss of what might have been, although it never had a chance. Then the cop takes control of Tracy's gun. His eyes toughen. He stands there in the empty gear house while Hugh sprockets idle. Exterior, Mike's Diner Dawn. Looking through the front window of the diner, we see Tracy and Tess and the kid at the table talking excitedly. Interior, Mike's Diner Dawn. The kid is very animated. Tess' eyes shine with happiness as she listens to the kid's story.
Also, he was her piano player, and that's how we got 88 Keys to confess that the bank killed Fletcher.
Not bad.
You may be too smart to need this, but I like to give it to you anyway.
From his pockets, Tracy takes a small box and gives it to the kid. The kid looks surprised and then delighted as he opens the box and finds a small wrist radio. His eyes get as big as silver dollars. Tracy glances at Tess and they both smile and they both watch the kid's excitement. Mike approaches the table with several bowls of chili on a tray. He plops them down in front of Tracy, Tess, and the kid, spilling a little chili over the edge of each bowl. Tracy and Tess, a spoonful of the chili.
Not as bad as usual, Mike. What you do this time? Wash the bowls?
Don't listen to him, Mike. I think it's just marvelous.
Except for the guy she goes out with, this lady has real taste.
Mike leaves the table and returns to the counter. The kid is still examining his wrist video as Tracy turns to Tess again.
You know, I've been thinking, Tess.
Yeah? About what?
Well, you living alone and
I like living alone.
Tracy is silent.
We have that in common, I guess.
yeah.
Well, don't we?
Tracy stares at her, concentrated. The kid suddenly looks at Tracy, aware that something particular is happening. Tess seems slightly confused. Tracy clears his throat uncomfortably and continues.
Well, when two people have a lot in common, they ought to do something about it.
It suddenly dawns on the kid that Tracy is leaning up to even Mike is listening intently behind the counter.
Uh-oh.
Shut up, kid. You're mute.
Heartburn, Tracy. Heartburn.
Tracy throws a warning glance at Mike, then turns back to Tess. Tess looks
Ah.
at Tracy crisply.
Well, yes, well.
Yes.
The kid stares open-mouthed.
Well, I was thinking that you and I could.
Yes. Yes.
Well, what do you think?
Tess draws back to look at him right in the eye.
Dick Tracy, are you asking me to?
Well, yeah, I guess I am.
Suddenly, as a relief of the uncomfortable Tracy pats, a voice booms over both wrist radios.
Calling Dick Tracy. Calling Dick Tracy. Robbery in progress, Tracy. Metropolitan Bank. Hot diggity dog.
The kid leaps from his chair and dashes for the door. Indistinctly, Tracy takes 2 steps toward the door, then turns back to Tess.
What are you waiting for? A nice safe desk? Shoot.
Tess, you're 1 in a million.
He tosses her a small jewelry box, then heads for the door. Opening the box, Tess finds a small diamond ring. She smiles warmly. Exterior street dawn. Tracy's car streaks through the breaking dawn with the siren wailing and Tracy and the kid inside, loving every minute of the chase. The end.
Yay!
Woo.
Yay!
Yeah.
Whoa, Kate, your background has changed considerably.
Oh yeah, I was just lying down.
I mean, I would
I was
too.
like,
but
damn, Kate.
she's like,